4:46 this morning. Good morning, Jen, Bill, Tim, and Patrick. 3 of the top 5 in the SEC. The other, USC's number 14, the Gamecocks, in the top 4 in 2024. Who would you guess texted that? Gamecock Larry. Yeah, he's got people.
Got people. What did he say? What was he said yesterday? I thought he said he wasn't doing that. Did he say he was having somebody do that?
He's got somebody that does that for him. That's when you know you've made it in life. When you can find someone, send out your texts at 4:46 in the morning. Hope your Wednesday morning's off to a good start. We got Patrick Perrette back with us in a full house today. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Jim Jensen alongside. Patrick, good to have you back, sir.
Good to be back. Back in the living room, back in my comfort zone. I can really just let it fly out here.
After how many days away from your living room, the homestead, quarantine headquarters, where you dominated for a year and a half now?
10 days, I think. I left last Saturday. So yeah,
goodness.
Five shows back in Maryland and 1 show in Nashville.
Okay, so what have you learned in your travels now that you're a much more, I'm sure, much wiser, well-traveled man?
Well, now I'm done. I'm no longer a Marylander. I will go back to the state of Maryland, but the old house is gone, so now I'm just full-time South Carolina. I learned that Nashville is awesome, but that extra hour, what I really learned is that extra hour is tough when it's 5 in the morning versus 6 in the morning. Setting the alarm for 4:30 versus 5:30 is a big hour.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not a big deal if it's like 2 p.m. versus 3 p.m., whatever, afternoon football, no big deal. But like a 6 p.m. kickoff versus 7 p.m. kickoff is actually great. But those hours where it hurts you is that noon kickoff turning into 11 a.m. kickoff and the 6 a.m. radio show turning into a 5 a.m. radio show. That's when it'll get you. I don't know how the West Coast people do it,
right?
To be honest.
Now you know how Pac-12 programs, what they're dealing with. You know what the Big Ten big game at noon's dealing with now as well. It happens to be 11 o'clock local time a lot of times. Gamecocks are going to be dealing with East Carolina. And Shane Beamer speaking about it yesterday at his weekly press conference. I thought the most interesting part, Bill, is about exactly what he wants and needs to see from Luke Doty if Luke Doty's going to play this week. And the expecting to be 100% was repeated multiple times, both by Shane Beamer and Luke Doty himself. And we'll continue to let you hear more from that, the best of the press conference yesterday as we roll on this morning. Bill, what do you take away from the quarterback situation and the latest update from both of those guys yesterday?
What do I take away? So are you going ahead and are we getting straight to it? Are you asking me how the quarterback situation plays out, how I think he does it?
Are we just skipping over the fact that he's on the hot seat now?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, let's.
Was the press conference before or after these rumors came out?
Let's not acknowledge.
But yeah, I was going to say.
Internet talk yesterday.
82 Pirate?
Just asking what you heard and how that affects how you think about things moving forward.
I think Nolan starts, but you see Luke Doty I think they go to a 2 quarterback system this game. I think they're going to go with. I think that's just the way I heard it. And I only say that because they weren't really ready to commit to it, and still kind of saying to an extent they want to see more from Luke Doty this week as the week progresses. You technically have 2 practices left today and tomorrow. I guess there's a walkthrough on Thursday, and they can give him a football and he can jog around and do some things and show you what he's capable of doing. But yeah, my feeling is this week going to be a 2 quarterback system, and we'll see how that works.
What do you think, Patrick?
I just don't understand why that would be the case. I mean, if you expect him to be 100%, then let him play. Like, I don't think Zeb Nolan was just jaw-droppingly good and we have to give him another chance because he was just so good against Eastern Illinois that can't take the ball out of his hands right now. Like, it wasn't that kind of game. It was too easy for everyone, and he wasn't perfect. If Luke Doty's 100%, he's your guy. You named him the starter forever ago now, and he's been your leader this entire offseason. If you expect him to be 100%, then let him play. Don't say he's 100% and start Zeb Nolan. Just say maybe Luke's 80%, so we're going to start Zeb, and we'll just see how it goes. But if he is fully healthy, he is your guy, and I don't understand why he wouldn't take every snap.
that's part of what I heard yesterday is that there's plenty of wiggle room. Kind of to your point, Bill, what Perry Orth was telling us yesterday, he expects Zeb Nolan to start in this thing as well. But that will be the tricky explanation, right? If Zeb does start and then Luke Doty comes in, because you said he's only going to play if he's 100%. So then why would he not start and be your guy kind of from the beginning? Patrick's saying there. Patrick, I tend to agree with you, but I think I heard more of what you're saying there, Bill, yesterday. We'll continue to let you make your own. I would like to hear your perspective on this thing. I would like to hear what you think about how the quarterback situation is going to go down. And Patrick, to your point, just to explain your reference there was somebody, I guess it's an East Carolina fan out there that put.
I think it was probably just a joke.
You think so? It didn't come off as that to me. And I know Jay Phillips was the first place I saw it was him retweeting it and saying that he really wants to have that person on the show and explaining the whole thing. It was a tweet, right? And then they said they got it from a message board, or I don't know how it went down exactly, but the gist was the East Carolina fan had a South Carolina buddy. He was on the inside. Heard that if the Gamecocks don't beat East Carolina, then Shane Beamer would be fine. That was inside information, because that's just how important the East Carolina game is to South Carolina. It's just not even worth discussion. It just makes you smile.
It's just funny. It's just funny. I can't imagine someone said that seriously, but maybe they did. I've been on the message boards, but I've never been a person that like reads or contributes to message boards. But if that's actually what's going on, maybe I need to get involved more.
Bill, what do you think? Legit or not legit? That take. I mean, obviously it's a ridiculous take, but do you think someone actually believed it when they were writing it, or was it just a troll job?
No, I've had to work on the message boards in the past, and the people that you get posting on those things are generally very interesting characters. I'll go with not legit. I'll go with somebody who's having a good time, hoping to get a little bit of notoriety there, maybe amongst the South Carolina fan base, or get a bit of a rise. And he or she accomplished goal and did it exceptionally well. So yeah, I have nothing to that. Well, no, not that there's anything to the. I think it's a completely made up post.
DC up first with us on the YouTube live stream this morning, sponsored by Buford Lending. Also up on Facebook Live, Twitter as well. The station handles at 107.5 The Game, along with RL, Rod, Donald, Dave, Carlton, and Waddy. DC says, yeah, if Doty is 100%, he should start. If he isn't, he shouldn't play, period. So isn't it that simple? And kind of how Patrick broke it down, how would that then lead to what you were talking about Zeb Nolan getting the start and Doty coming in and almost being a two-quarterback system?
My personal opinion is, just listening to Shane, I think that they like right now how Zeb Nolan and his experience is able to lead the team and bring a calming influence to the team. I think they know that Doty is I'm pulling a lot of kind of conjecture here and conspiracy theory, but I think that they really like how the experience that Zeb Nolan brings, and again, how he's able to kind of keep everything intact out there. And I think you'd like to ease Luke Doty into the situation. I don't know if I see them. A week ago, I wouldn't have agreed with my own take, but I don't know if I see them just going full-fledged Luke Doty on Saturday like I initially thought. I think that it's going to be some form of a two-quarterback system, because Luke Doty does offer you a different style of quarterback and it makes you prepare for something different. Whereas I think they like the kind of stability and the consistency that Zeb Nolan could bring.
See, I'm with you there if Luke Doty doesn't offer you that as well. The leadership skills, the intangibles have been just raved about, just from start to finish, from this new coaching staff, from the former coaching staff, even as a true freshman last year. So,
well, they haven't. They haven't bragged about his ability to get the team in and out of the huddle and to know exactly the whole playbook. I mean, they talked about leadership, but it's different when it comes to playbooks and the ability to tell guys where to go and to minimize mistakes, things of that nature.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's more, I guess, X's and O's leadership, or operating the team on the field. Patrick, as you hear that, does it change your mind at all, or you disagree?
No, I mean he hasn't even had the opportunity to do that though. So just I don't know. I can't think of a rationale where it makes sense to go into a game with the plan of, hey, this guy that we've been hyping up all spring, all summer, and named our sole leader and had completely empowered him from day one and said, you are our guy, but we're not going to start you. We don't trust you to begin the game. Like, give him the whole game to figure it out. And if he doesn't look good, okay, then I guess then you can pull him and let Zeb's stability bring you back into the game. Or like, it just doesn't make sense to start Zeb at all. Like, I think you have to either say Luke is not 100%, so we're starting Zeb, or you have to say Luke is 100%. But contrary to everything we've been saying, there is a quarterback competition now. We like what Zeb has shown us, and now there's a competition. So sorry what we told you this whole offseason that Luke's the guy, but we're still considering other options.
Well, to me, that's not contrary from what they've been saying. It's just a new wrinkle having Zeb Noland in the mix. With it was repeated multiple times yesterday, and will be repeated, I think, moving forward multiple times. That competition is a core value of the program, and I think that's how you would explain that away, because this is a different wrinkle than anybody expected coming out of spring practice. This is something I don't think you can do. Newberry Chris, Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Got to be cautious. Can't replicate game speed in practice. Ease them into gameplay. I don't know how you ease Luke Doty into the East Carolina game.
Right.
And you can replicate game speed if you let guys go 100%. Now, you won't do that. You won't have your quarterback get hit in the whole thing. So from that standpoint, I get what Chris is saying. But how you ease him into the East Carolina game. Now,
how you
Illinois game, I can see that.
Sure.
East Carolina game is just different.
But how you ease someone into a game is by giving them the start, winning the coin toss and saying we want the ball, and giving him a scripted first drive and letting him be comfortable with everything normal. You don't wait until you're potentially down in the game and thrust him out there in the middle of the first quarter when the game's already well underway and say, hey, just ease yourself in, buddy. Take it slow. It's your first start. Like, that doesn't make any sense. The only way to ease him in is to give him the start.
I don't know, man.
I
I've seen Steve Spurrier handle it a whole lot different than what you're trying
Steve
to
Spurrier
describe.
didn't know the word ease. That was not in his vocabulary.
I feel like Patrick's like a mystery science theater guy that kind of has his own captions for scenes going on. He's watching it on TV and then seeing Shane Beamer lean over to Luke Doty as he's going in. Just ease your way in, buddy. Ease your way.
Take it easy, yeah.
Alex says, I think it's Coach Beamer's way of having East Carolina and Georgia having to prepare for the possibility of both guys playing. I fully expect Doty to start on Saturday. Well, if you just put a guy on tape for 3+ quarters, right? Zeb Noland, that team that you're going to play is going to see that and automatically prepare for Noland. I don't think that is a big consideration there. Travis says, so y'all really think we see Doty this Saturday? I'm just not sure I'm buying that just yet. I don't know is my honest take right now. I don't know, and I think how he responds, Bill, like you mentioned, these two practices today and tomorrow, to me that tells the story. And Luke Doty's health of that foot, the stability of the midfoot sprain, how healthy he is, if he can be the player that they need him to be, that uses his legs as a weapon and shows off the mobility. To me, he will have to prove that today and tomorrow from what I heard yesterday from Shane Beamer. But we're going to let you hear some of the best of that and come to your own conclusions. If you have not already, would love to hear them at 803-404-6100. Again, up and rolling on the YouTube, Facebook live video stream, Twitter as well. Just getting started on a Wednesday morning. Game number 2 coming up. We're right in the middle of season. We see our buddy Gamecock Larry not just texting it at 446, also calling in bright and early on that Love Chevy phone line. We'll hear what he has to say when we come back. It's the early game, 107.5 again. Morning, Chris, LeVar, Anthony, Alex would roll right in with a hot take. Love it. I would say he's always been a semi-Saints fan. Is that fair, Patrick?
Yeah. My no, not. I mean, full time. No, I don't know what that means. I'm a full time kind of Saints fan
It's your 1B, right?
in the NFL. Yeah. I was talking with my cousin when I was in Nashville, and I said we were talking about like the teams my dad follows because he always texts us about LSU like all the time. My dad and I just get blown up in a group message by my cousin talking about LSU, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think your dad really cares that much." I was like, "No, I don't think he does. I think he likes Washington and Maryland basketball and the Saints, and that's all the sports that he really like truly diehard cares about." So we grew up definitely big Saints fans. We would tape the Saints game if the Redskins were playing early and then watch it later.
Strong. So what's the satisfaction level with LSU right now from your cousin?
The texts were bad. He texted me at 1 a.m. saying, "Oh, gone. Napier, come on down." That was all he texted me at night.
Wow.
And then I responded. He said, "Yeah, for LSU." He said, "If they could have, LSU fans would have left him on the tarmac in Pasadena. Inexcusable performance, and engaging with the fan is embarrassing. Cherry on top."
Wow.
Said wasn't hired by Woodward, and Woodward has never liked him. Don't listen to anyone who thinks the buyout will keep him here if this continues. Coordinator-dependent head coach who hasn't hired a single good coordinator in his 5-year tenure. And before you say Joe Brady, Steve Ensminger is the only reason Brady was ever actually hired. Ed wasn't even in the room for the offensive presentation. He hates him. I mean, I think they'll still end up being 5-1, which will definitely help a little bit. But there are going to be some. Yeah, I mean, if they lose, they got McNeese in Central Michigan and Baton Rouge the next 2 weeks. Then they go to Mississippi State, and if Auburn comes back and beats them in Baton Rouge, that could be it potentially. That would be a 2, 4, fired week 5 situation.
This e-learning for a 6th grader is a lot different from middle,
Gene Chiswick Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not far off. Other than an actual, like, the personality and
right, the cult following.
Yeah.
And a great quote from Chris there. Daggers.
About sums it up. But I think people are, when you're not winning, that whole personality is not cute anymore. Like the sissy blue shirt comment that now they're making shirts for. Just when you lose that game, it's just embarrassing.
Chris, good point. I don't think Bill finds that hilarious right now.
I couldn't do the I mean, like my daughter last night, we're going to bed. My son's got his down cold, and it's a lot easier for 4th graders. They just, the way they're handling it. But Ansley's with multiple classrooms, multiple teachers. And so like right as we're going to bed, I'm like, okay, I'll get up in the morning, I'll wake you up. You can get on your Chromebook and start doing your class. She's like, oh yeah, no, I don't have much I have to do. Like it sounds like me when I'm referring to go into my other office versus like, maybe going out on the lake or something. Like, yeah, I just need to pop in for like 30 minutes, make sure everything is working properly. And I was like, wait, I think you have school. I think that's how it works. And she's like, no, I don't have much. I really don't have a whole lot of meetings tomorrow. I was like, I don't think that's how it works.
You don't have to just sit in there for the whole period.
Well, they do stuff, and then they go into like breakout groups, and I was like, oh boy.
I wasn't even thinking about middle school where you have all the different blocks and you got to go from link to link to go into different teachers' rooms. Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Can we do number 1, Jen?
Okay.
Thank you.
We were on that 2014 team. We went up to Columbus, Ohio the Saturday night before, beat Ohio State. Virginia Tech did, beat Ohio State. Ohio State ended up winning the national championship that year. And the very next week came back and lost to East Carolina at home. Look at 2018. East Carolina lost to North Carolina A&T the very first game of the season in 2018. Came back the very next week and beat the Tar Heels by 3 touchdowns.
5.
So we know what we're walking into on Saturday, and if we don't, we're going to figure it out pretty quick.
Shane Beamer, yesterday's weekly press conference, giving us a bit of a history lesson about East Carolina football, did leave out a lot of the recent lack of success. Since 2015, Bill, haven't had a winning record. Since 2016, the most games they've won is 4. As I'm looking at this thing, the end of the Ruffin McNeil era, it was that 2015 season, man. He had a tremendous run, 2012, 13, 14, at least 8 wins. And then the one season goes bad. They part ways. Scotty Montgomery comes in, and they drop just kind of off the face of the college football planet outside of that, 2018 win, I guess, that Beamer is referring to against North Carolina. They were 3-9 that season, 3-9, 3 straight seasons, 4-8 the first year that Mike Houston came in, and then 3-6 last year. The program is back on a positive trajectory. There's no doubt about it, but it is not that program that I think Shane Beamer is certainly selling, and I get it. I get it. This is this is what Lou Holtz was famous for, maybe a little infamous for. This is one of the things that I think that Steve Spurrier maybe was closest to brutally honest about. Like, yeah, they've done this and that, but I think went out of his way not to praise the opponent too much. It's an interesting spot for Shane Beamer, trying to get his team's attention right now, trying to get his fan base's attention right now, and dealing with the reality of where East Carolina is as they sit as a favorite, though, against his South Carolina team. What did you make of what you just heard, his take on East Carolina?
Well, I mean, yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, but I also think that Shane Beamer's idea of East Carolina is entirely different than what you just described the last few years. I mean, there's been, I'd go back again, as he mentions, Virginia Tech going into Greenville, North Carolina in 2013 and barely winning 15-10. In 2014, the game that he's just referring to, East Carolina going to Blacksburg and winning 28-21. I'm pretty sure we'd need to go back and look. Actually, this is correct. In 2015, Virginia Tech went back to Greenville and lost 35-28. So the last 2 times Shane Beamer's played Virginia Tech, he's lost both games, 28-21 and 35-28. So I understand what you're talking about, the present or the recent history of East Carolina, but what Shane Beamer's remembered is entirely different. And if you go back and you look, there have been some, during Beamer's time there were some pretty close games between these 2 teams. So I think that what you're getting here is kind of a Shane Beamer thing where he remembers the games, remembers what's happened with East Carolina. I kind of mentioned that back when we were going back, I think June or July. I don't think it was in August, but we were just kind of looking at the schedule, and I said maybe one of the better things is you got a coach here who really appreciates East Carolina maybe a little bit more than some people would, because what you end up seeing here is a program that's been a thorn in the side of Virginia Tech at times. And I don't know if they've been a thorn in the side of South Carolina. South Carolina's been on a pretty good winning streak here against them of late, but it is a program that'll jump up and bite you. I'm trying to remember, Tim, and to put into context, what was the year that Miami
went up there, I believe, and East Carolina beat them. There was a hurricane involved, and I think Miami had to stay around here and train, or maybe it was East Carolina. Do you remember what I'm referencing?
It sounds semi-familiar, but to me, the way that this program has fallen off has kind of erased a lot of those big moments. And this is where I think it's helpful to always talk to the opposing fans, because you get coaches always complimenting the other program, and then you can get a skewed view of the present. And I get what you're saying. The past is that is very true. What East Carolina used to be. I know East Carolina fans certainly want to get back to that, and I think they are pretty confident that Mike Houston can do that. They just haven't done it. They haven't been that program in a while. That's my point here, and I'm thinking that South Carolina players are much more familiar with that than they are with what Shane Beamer talked about, what you talked about there, kind of 2015 and previous. That's what he's schooling them up on. I don't know how much that message is resonating right now with Gamecock players, because you know how players are, man. It's kind of what they've seen with their own eyes, and from 18 to 24 years old, I think is the range this year. That college football history is a lot different than what we have. I guess Patrick is a good example. Patrick, do you think of East Carolina as what do you think of them as a college football program? Let me not have a leading question for you.
I think of them as like a fun party school who has a football team. Like, I don't think of their football program as anything, but South Carolina also has a lot of young guys a lot of first or second year players who have either not played in the SEC or not played a normal schedule. So maybe this is a good opportunity to throw on some tape of a old East Carolina game where the stadium was rocking and they upset a big team, and some of these guys really haven't experienced the road environment like that. I mean, Luke Doty hasn't really. He's played on the road in the SEC, but it was minimal or not full capacity. And all these guys like the Debo Williams of the world who are coming from Delaware, and guys that have just never seen an environment like this, it can still be a little bit shocking to them. So getting them, even if you're exaggerating a little bit, like, just oversell it and make sure they're ready to play. I think it's just coach speak, and you don't want to minimize your opponent, and you want to have your team fired up to play. They don't think that they can see anything new after they've seen Williams-Brice Stadium last weekend or anything like that. Just oversell it, make sure they're ready to go. The fans don't have to worry about it. We've talked about this. We can look ahead at the schedule and say, here's this a win here, win here, win here. Players and coaches don't have that luxury of just looking past somebody. Just make it seem like East Carolina is Athens, Georgia, and you'll be ready for Athens, Georgia.
Well, I think the other part of this, there's a lot of players on. One, any team coming off a 2-8 season, I don't think you can afford to overlook anybody. Like, I don't care what East Carolina we say about their record or what they have been. South Carolina in and of its own self is 2-8 over the last year, and then has 6 wins. There are 2 wins. 4 wins the year before that. I'll get it out. 6 wins in the last 2 years. So I guess my point is there's a lot of players that also will be in this game that were on the field when Appalachian State came down and beat South Carolina Williams-Brice Stadium. I don't know if you worry about the looking ahead factor. I don't think one 46-0 victory over Eastern Illinois has changed players' opinion of, well, they're world beaters now, and that Georgia game all of a sudden shapes up as a playoff elimination game like Georgia had last weekend. I think you got a team who's still fragile confidence is the term I would use for this team. I think there's more confidence. I think it can be destroyed in a heartbeat, especially with a game like this.
It's an interesting time for the East Carolina program to pop up on South Carolina's schedule, especially with Shane Beamer's history through Virginia Tech mostly. And I thought it was interesting how he presented it yesterday at the press conference for sure. We can continue to discuss that. First, we need to get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, waiting patiently this morning. The AP Top 25. You noticed a little movement yesterday, Larry. Was that where you would like to start this morning, sir?
Yes, sir. I see we got 3. SEC got 3 of the top 5, and they got 6 of the top 25. The ACC got 2 in the top 10, and the close. I mean, the best one they got is Clemson in number 6. Been a long time since you've seen that, but they're gonna go further on down before the season's over. And so the three of the top 5 in the ACC lost this weekend. So they, I don't know, but I just wanted to say, I just want to rub it in a little demo. But let's talk a little bit about this East Carolina and the Gamecocks. I do not think that you lose your job, starting job, due to an injury. If Doty is ready to go, he should start. If he's not, start Zeb. Because Zeb didn't show, he didn't have to do too much this weekend. He didn't have, I think, about 2 or 3 long, over 30-yard passes because he didn't have to, because they always had a short field. But that's the way it is. Either Doty, if Doty is full strength, he should be ready. He should be start the day. Start. If not, we in good hands. As far as losing to East Carolina and Shane Beamer getting fired, Lord, why in the world are you going to fire a coach that lost the game to a team that you was underdogs to? That ain't going to happen. Number 3, I got to say something to my old buddy over Root Hog. He called me the other day and left something on there about, Gilbert, 12, Lexington 14. That's Bill's team. That's about all I got to say. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry just completely confusing Bill at the end there.
Well, halfway through that, I realized I was looking for the complete top 25 poll to have up on my computer screen, and I saw a headline that I can't. I mean, I see how I've missed it, and I think y'all have missed it. But I was like, oh, maybe I'm misreading the headline. Maybe it's the son, not the father, who's participating in a boxing match this weekend. Do you guys know who's boxing this weekend?
Is it Tyson Fury's dad? I know he's been talked about.
No.
I'm guessing
This is a fighter.
a football connection.
No, this is a fighter, Tim, from your and my era that was really good and was a heavyweight champion, and apparently is going to step back in the ring on short notice, which is, to put it lightly, because Oscar De La Hoya, who's not a spring chicken himself, has tested positive for COVID-19 and is out. Want to take a ballpark guess on this? This is a 90s fighter, buddy.
Well, if he's stepping in for De La Hoya and he's a heavyweight, that seems
Yeah.
awfully odd to me.
There's a lot that's odd about this story.
Are you sure he's a heavyweight?
He was a heavyweight champion.
Okay, go ahead. Who is it? You got Evander Holyfield?
Yes. The 58-year-old former heavyweight champion is stepping in on short notice as a replacement for Oscar De La Hoya. He'll take on, and I've never heard of the other guy, Vitor Belfort, a former UFC light heavyweight champion. Patrick, you were familiar with that guy?
No.
Sorry to take the show down a path, but why is Evander Holyfield fighting, and who pays $44.99? It's a pay-per-view for 58-year-old Evander Holyfield.
That's a great question. What I just heard there was 2 trains passing in the early morning. Gamecock Larry and Bill right across each other there. I don't know if you guys have ever been more similar, actually. So what he was referring to, if you're actually looking up that top 25, was that Georgia moved up to number 2 after the win against Clemson. Clemson drops to number 6. We just had John from Somerville saying, I'm a Clemson fan, but Gamecock Larry's right. Well, you don't hear that often, do you? Clemson will finish worse than 6th. Number 5 is Texas A&M with Alabama 1, Georgia 2. So those are 3 of the top 5. There was some pretty massive movement. You got Ohio State at 3 and Oklahoma at 4. And to round out the top there, 8 spots is what Iowa and Penn State jump up after their wins against ranked teams in week number 1. You have Florida sitting kind of pat at number 13, having been, to me, relatively unimpressive in their opening win against Florida Atlantic. Take that for what it is. So they're the 4th SEC ranked team. The 5th one is Ole Miss at number 20. They were not ranked in the AP Top 25, but it looked really good against Louisville the other night. And Auburn sitting at number 25 rounds out the 6 SEC teams. North Carolina dropped 14 spots from 10 to 24, losing to that Virginia Tech game. So that was the farthest drop. Miami dropping 8 spots down to number 22. If you're really into the AP Top 25 polls, Texas also making a pretty significant jump up along with Coastal Carolina. More than a handful of spots for Texas, 5 spots for Coastal up to 17, Texas at 15. Those are the ranking updates that Gamecock Larry was really interested in and trying to give some grief to ACC fans this morning. Bill, I don't feel like they need it after that week 1. That was pretty rough. Pretty obvious that was a rough weekend for the ACC. And it was, if you're just going by conference, I think the big takeaway from week number 1, and it's hard to argue that, even if you're one of the biggest ACC advocates out there, I would imagine, like Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, now I will say if you thought that Danny Cannell was a Gamecock homer, I doubt anybody saw College Football Live yesterday with Greg McElroy, who said we were focusing too much on the negative. Maybe we should focus on the positive, that Virginia Tech might be a top 10 team. They looked really good, and that while he doesn't believe in moral victories, Florida State a lot better. Maybe we should focus on the positives and not the negatives. I was thinking, that's a hot take right there as I was watching College Football Live. But I am interested to see Virginia Tech. I am interested to see North Carolina State as well. He mentioned them. North Carolina State is a game on Clemson's schedule that I kind of, I guess, ears perked up, eyes raised a little bit more at that game to see if that can be a challenge. That game is the end of this month, September 25th. It's in Raleigh, and can Dave Dorn and North Carolina State give Clemson a challenge? I feel like that's one that I'm actually a little bit more intrigued by on the Tiger schedule.
Again, week 1, it definitely changes some perspectives. We'll see how much it actually shows us about the season as we continue to move on. We continue to move on the program. Time for a quick break here. When we come back, more of Shane Beamer, the best of yesterday's weekly press conference. Coming up next, it's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Dan Patrick, weekday 9 until noon on 107.5 The Game.
This Holyfield story blows my mind. I can't, 58 years old, and I don't understand how they're selling this thing.
To me, that's like the tweet yesterday from the ECU Pirates 82. Just trolling.
Yeah, but this is a real. The Holyfield thing is a real thing. That's a real story, a real thing that's happening. Like that's not somebody just making something up on a message board.
It's who Holyfield is. He is a fighter. That's it. 58 years old, though. I'm with you. Crazy.
Belfort's a UFC guy.
Yeah, he said it. Former UFC guy.
Yeah, I got a text. He was really good until Silva knocked him out with a front kick to the face.
Of course.
And the TRT PEDs didn't help.
Front kick to the face will tend to end a lot of people's career.
And the testosterone replacement therapy got him suspended. John Jones said he was on steroids when they fought. I had to look up TRT. I didn't know what that meant.
Nope, me either.
I'm saying yes. This will be the real deal. Holyfield will be back for another video game, RL. Get your PlayStation 5s ready. Isn't he physically a big dude, but he's not a tall guy. Am I wrong about that?
Right, yeah. I walked by him at the Masters one time.
You didn't yell at him real loud and then be like, sorry, thought with your ear issue you couldn't hear. Wasn't sure.
Do you guys know Ken Burns is making a Muhammad Ali documentary?
No.
2-parter or 3-parter.
Only 2 or 3?
Yeah, it's only gonna be like 8 hours, I think.
Oh, it's nothing for him.
It's nothing, yeah.
So, are y'all with me on that? Basically, any documentary that Billy Corbin makes, you'll just watch in the future.
That depends. Who's Billy Corbin?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's
Cocaine Cowboys guy.
his most recent was Coke, but he also did the first All About the U was actually really good. The second one was but yeah, and I think he's got some other stuff too that was highly acclaimed. I just haven't watched it, but
Anybody listen to the Murdaugh podcast?
I haven't gotten into listening to those. But
It's, I mean, top 10 worldwide in the crimes category, I think, of podcasts.
Right.
I think my girlfriend already listened to the whole thing. She's very into it. A lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
are very into it. I still know nothing about it. I like turn my ears off when it comes up.
I read just kind of the details about it over the weekend just to have any kind of familiarity with it. Jen, do you follow that at all?
Which one is that?
I'll take that as a no. There's a podcast that's massively popular that is about murders not too far away from us. It's called the Murdaugh Murders. Pretty famous family.
Yeah. I followed the story, but not the podcast.
So what'd you take away from the podcast, Patrick?
Oh, I didn't listen to it. I just know it's huge. My girlfriend was listening to it.
yeah, it's like
I don't know anything about it.
it's like the number 4 overall podcast in the country right now.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
It is. I mean, it is the story in and of itself is the more that's coming out is absolutely insane.
I still know not the first thing about it.
I mean,
It's.
Well, I think it's several generations of lawyers, prominent lawyers there. And then most recently, a relatively young son is. I think there was a death via boating that he's accused of, and all kinds of
with
stuff.
a girl. Yeah,
Right.
we're heading back in. Yeah, it's a weird story.
One of these. Let's go with number 4, please. Actually, yeah, let's do number 4, please.
Straight in.
Previously, but at the end of the day, it's what gives us the best chance to win this Saturday, not next week, not
5.
October. What gives us the best chance to, in this situation, beat East Carolina on Saturday?
Shane Beamer asked yesterday, and a little hesitant to get into the quarterback discussion too much, but obviously going to be asked about it at yesterday's press conference, even though he laid down the gauntlet on Sunday night saying he's not going to name a starter. He's got it released on the depth chart as Zeb Nolan or Luke Doty, but talking about exactly what he's looking for to make that ultimate decision. If you use a true quarterback system against East Carolina, Butch from Bennettsville says you force Georgia to prepare for both quarterbacks. I think Georgia's going to have to prepare for both quarterbacks. I don't know what you're forcing Georgia to prepare for with Zeb Nolan that you're not preparing for Luke Doty. To me, it's something that you have to prepare for anyway. It's a guy back there who's going to sit in the pocket. Luke Doty's going to do that every now and again, and then he's going to try to use his legs and beat you that way. And then he wasn't impressed with your take on East Carolina, calling you a paper guy. Patrick.
No, read the first sentence though. It's just cracked me up.
Patrick leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to college football.
Yeah.
Well, Butch is more like Bill and I's age, and I disagree with his take there. I don't think you're a paper guy at all, but you are 25 years old, so you go off of what.
Well,
you
and the
see.
question was, what is in my lifetime? What has East Carolina been, or at least since I've been watching college football? I'm gonna say Butch suggested the name Washington Congress last week, so enough said. It's the worst name ever.
Gene on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Yep, let's sit the quarterback who threw 4 touchdowns last week. Bill,
That's a paper guy. That is a paper guy right there.
To me, it is. how many quarterbacks debuted with 4 touchdowns? There were several of them over the
Well,
weekend.
Matt Corral only had 1, so Zeb Nolan's better than Matt Corral.
Let me ask you guys this: isn't this the complaint of the Will Muschamp era? Is that a guy could not go out and have a good performance, and maybe be in the mix for the job? I mean, isn't this like, I realize Luke Doty is not Jake Bentley, but things change and evolve. Zeb Nolan is now a part of this quarterback roster. I wouldn't have said a week ago. I would not have said a week ago that I thought Zeb Nolan would start. I've been pretty adamant that I thought that as long as Luke Doty was back and healthy, that he would be the starter. Whether it's gamesmanship on Shane Beamer's part, or whether it is the evolution of the South Carolina quarterback competition right now, I think you have to consider starting Zeb Nolan. And again, the way that they've talked about Zeb Nolan's ability to run the offense, to make the right decisions, to get guys in the right place. And now you go on the road, your first road game as a coaching staff. It should be a great environment. I assume I've never been up there to Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium, and I've never been around that crowd. A noon game is definitely different than a 7 o'clock game. The closest thing I can compare it to, Tim, is when I went down to Orlando for when South Carolina went down to play Central Florida. I think it was Blake Bortles was quarterback, and Central Florida was a top 15 team that year. It was the only game that they would lose. And it was a noon game on ABC, and their fans were about as fired up as you could get to be able to host a big-time opponent. That was Mike Davis, and Connor Shaw was on that team, and Clowney. But I do think that there's an element right now of knowing what you're putting out there. We still don't know what exactly Luke Doty – it's an unknown. It is an unknown with Luke Doty going out there under Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield as to how he would perform. And there is a part of me that thinks they might enjoy the known portion of this with what they're getting from Zeb Nolan.
But what was known? Why are we talking about it like not you guys, but why are people talking about it like he had a Heisman caliber performance? He was 13 of 22 and didn't throw a ball over 20 yards. Like, I can't throw a spiral, so I couldn't have thrown 4 touchdowns, but whoever the quarterback for Dutch Fork is probably could have thrown 3 or 4 touchdowns against Eastern Illinois.
So
I mean,
let's put some numbers
it wasn't
to this,
the most
Patrick.
incredible performance.
1 through 10, what would you rate Zeb Nolan's performance in game number 1?
6.5.
Bill, what about you?
It's fair. How many passes did he actually miss? You had, after going back and looking at it, the Jalen Brooks one.
Well, he could have
probably
missed a
both.
touchdown, and
Which one?
I mean,
The Jaheim Bell, nice catch there. Is
the
that what
Jaheim Bell one, yeah.
I don't know.
45.
It's an interesting place to be in going into the game. I don't think it's something to get completely worked up about. I think you've got a guy in Zeb Nolan who you feel okay that is going to go out and give you a solid performance, and you got a young guy in Luke Doty who might bring something a little bit extra, and
30.
nobody knows anything about because we hadn't seen him. A little bit of gamesmanship doesn't hurt anybody right now, and having to announce a starting quarterback.
If it's gamesmanship, I'm okay.
Richard's kind of on the same vein that Luke Doty hasn't proven anything, and mentioned Ryan
15.
Helinski and the whole thing. To me, he proved enough to the coaching staff last year to be above Helinski on the depth chart and to get in at the end of the season and to be the undisputed starting quarterback going into the preseason practice. We'll see. We'll continue to discuss. Hour 2 coming up.
WNKTFM.
Okay.
Total coverage. Right here.
All right, we got one up, and he is all geared up and set up for e-learning, and now he's up there playing PlayStation. And then we got the other one who's still asleep, but she doesn't start till 8:15, so we're in no rush to wake her up.
Nice. I got to go check on my crew real quick. I'm going to be out.
Where's Bennettsville?
Marlboro County. It's kind of going up toward the North Carolina, the eastern northeast South Carolina, but eastern North Carolina, kind of Sherall and Marlboro County. And
I do think this guy's texts from multiple aliases.
no, that's you talking about Butch?
Yeah.
No, that's the one. Tim and I played his. It says Bonnie. That's his wife. His wife played with us in that 2 years ago in that virtual golf tournament we played in.
So
And then
they
we
text
met
them
him.
the same number in different places.
I mean, it just says Butch and Bonnie. That's
Butch in Bennettsville and Bonnie in Lexington.
yeah. Bonnie was the one that played with us, and then Butch from Bennettsville. Yeah.
How many Butches do we have? We just had a new Butch text in.
Unless he was texting from Bonnie's phone.
They just text from each other's phone. I've never met a Butch that wasn't. The only Butch I knew growing up was a dog.
We had a Butch and Susie. You're behind me. He's a decent guy. He was a drummer in the band, bass drum.
Bass drum Butch.
Exactly.
What rabbit hole does this guy think I went down? I was on a rabbit hole in the.
Oh, no.
I did go down a rabbit hole in the Evander Holyfield stuff, but that was like 30 minutes ago. That's really only because when Gamecock Larry weighs in, my mind tends to wander to pretty much whatever else is on the internet at the moment. Patrick, did you see? I think it's like Kansas is like a 3.5 touchdown underdog to Coastal Carolina this weekend.
People were not kind to Kansas for storming the field after being an FCS team.
Gotta get your wins in when you can.
Clemson would have done it.
Turn
Yeah,
straight.
25.5 points is still the line. Somebody told me, all right, so the South Carolina East Carolina game is now a pick 'em. That line's all over the place. All right, let me get some coffee. Patrick, you're in control. Go on a hot take about something.
No, you don't want that. Actually, probably more sound now. So how long did it take you to drive back from Nashville? Do you have any slowdowns?
No, I actually made awesome time. I got here in, I think, 6.5 hours.
Did you
Little
go
less
40 or did you go through Atlanta?
No, 40.
Yeah. To me, that's the way to go.
It was a breeze. I hate Atlanta. I will do whatever I can to not have to drive through there.
Me too.
It was horrible going to Nashville from Maryland. It was supposed to be 10 hours, and it turned out to be 12.
Ugh. Yeah, that's no good.
I was stuck on 40 for like an hour and a half because I think a drunk driver got in a crash.
Oh no.
I got to the end of it and I just saw 2 cars sitting there and a bunch of Mick Ultra cases on the hood of a car.
Fantastic.
Exactly what you want at 10 p.m.
Yeah, it's like, thanks, moron, for making my life more miserable because you can't make good choices.
Right, and that part was just 2 lanes, no shoulders. No one could really get around it. It was just a nightmare.
Not cool. And then you look and you're like, oh crap, it's Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, Craig, the jump around, I'd seen it. I know they do it, but whoever made the decision at Fox to just stay on that thing for 5 minutes, that was such a good call. Because they were just that you could actually hear the stadium like moving. It was.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm glad I had that on. I'm glad I had it with volume. They need to do that more. Just let the atmosphere like completely dominate. They do it with intros, like they did it with the Virginia Tech intro, letting Enter Sandman just play for a couple minutes and you just get to watch. They do it with South Carolina where you just get to watch 2001, but the jump around was pretty awesome.
Cool to see in person.
Did you watch? Were you watching that game when that happened, Tim? Yeah.
Yeah. The shot of Gus Johnson just nodding his head along.
Yeah.
Up there. It's awesome.
They played that perfectly on Fox.
Well, and The other side of it too, that was hard to screw up, man. That was really hard
Yeah.
to screw up.
Well, it would have been hard to screw up if they just showed like a quick highlight, like coming back from commercial and they say, "Here's what you
Right.
missed." They just did jump around, but letting it sit there for 5 minutes was great.
But they knew what they were doing.
Doesn't Gus Johnson get a hard time for being like too emotional about everything and like not letting moments breathe?
Oh, are you talking about the Wisconsin Penn State? Yeah,
Yeah.
I rewatched it yesterday, and you're talking about them trying to show jump around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he kept saying like, "All right, here we go," but they were showing the little race on television
All right.
or on
Took a
the
little while,
big
okay.
screen.
Yeah, I guess for a more of an understated TV guy, I think Gus Johnson is about as universally beloved as you can be by a play-by-play guy. But
I
there are
like him.
haters
I
out there.
don't. There's not too many play-by-play guys that I just despise or I hate watching them. I know there's a lot of people people don't like Romo. A lot of people don't like Romo because they say
Right?
he's
Not a
too
play-by-play guy.
giddy.
He's the analyst.
Well, a lot of people hate Joe Buck. I like Joe Buck.
Yeah, I'm not a Joe Buck
That
fan.
boy-
He burned me being too ugly about the Cubs.
He burned you.
I don't know. I just don't like his.
Wow.
He's got a smugness about him, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's probably a pretty smug guy.
Yeah, I just don't care for that.
I think it's nuts that he was calling NFL games at 23.
No doubt about that.
That
Yeah.
blows my mind.
6 here, please, Jim.
6. Okay.
Thank you.
Raise Bill. Really does.
On 107.5, The Game.
I feel like I'm pretty close. I did a lot of stuff today, in practice, and it felt good. So it's definitely been a good recovery. Ways to go, but I'm definitely getting there, and I'm feeling good about it.
Luke Doty talking about his midfoot sprain yesterday and his way back to the football field. The question is, when will we see him, and how much will we see him, if at all, this weekend against East Carolina? On the depth chart listed as Zeb Noland or Luke Doty as the starting quarterback for Carolina. Shane Beamer also talking a little bit about that yesterday, even though he noted on Sunday that he wasn't going to name a starting quarterback this week. Went ahead and gave the heads up on that. Why don't we hear the more extended version from Shane Beamer about exactly how he's seeing things right now, especially as it pertains to Luke Doty, who was asked about it at yesterday's press conference, and here was the exchange.
What are the things that you look for to see that he's, good to run out there on
touchdown?
So for me, it's can he run out there? I mean, Luke can throw the football, don't get me wrong, but Luke's a weapon with his feet as well. And if East Carolina, you guys are going to see on Saturday, they can fly on defense. One thing they can do is they can run. And we don't need anybody out there that can't get themselves out of trouble and run around and move, for one. And then two, I think just the tempo, the crispness that you need to be at that position. He practiced today. He did more today than he has in the past, but there's a difference in being out there and throwing routes to the receivers without a defense and going out there and doing it against 11 guys in front of 50,000 on Saturday. So it's just the timing, all that stuff. I've got to be able to see that he can operate at a high level, which I have no doubt, he'll be able to when he's ready, and get himself out of trouble and run when he's ready as well. But, he was out there in football, uniform today and wasn't wearing the boot, obviously. He was out there.
5.
I think he just told you guys, he fully expects to be 100% on Saturday, and we feel the same way.
Shane Beamer's kind of extended version of what he's looking for Bill, I think that's where you had to take away. You mentioned in hour number one the crispness, the number two part of Shane Beamer's evaluation process, getting guys in and out of the huddle, just moving the offense is why you think Zeb Nolan will at least get the start on Saturday, but you will see some of Luke Doty in maybe more of a limited capacity. That's where you're going with. I don't mean to misstate it. I want to make sure I get it right.
That's kind of what I'm thinking may happen now. I'm okay with whatever they elect to do. If they want to give the ball to Zeb Nolan and tell him it's his game and he can go out and try and do whatever, I'm okay. If they want to give it to Luke Doty because he was initially the starter and they want to see what he's capable of doing. But I think what you may end up seeing is Zeb Nolan get the start and then bringing Luke Doty in to be a bit of a change of a pace kind of guy. And maybe Doty from there shows that he's ready to take the reins back and be the starter. We'll see what Shane Beamer wants to say on Thursday night. Again, Beamer playing this one kind of close to the vest in terms of what he's thinking. It's hard for me to believe that as we sit here on Wednesday morning, they don't have a pretty good feel for what they're going to do. I'll say that. I have a hard time believing that it's going to be based on the next two practices. They've seen Luke Doty. They have a good feel for, they should have, not necessarily that we need to, but they should have a good feel for his health and where he's probably going to be at on Saturday. It sounds like he was full go in practice yesterday. So to me, I think that they've got this thing kind of already planned out. I'll even go back to Sunday night's teleconference, Tim, where Shane Beamer basically just comes out and is like, no, I'm not naming a starter. You guys don't need to know a starter. I'm not naming it on Tuesday, so don't ask. Like, to me, it's almost like they've kind of known what they're about to do with this, and they saw enough from Zeb Nolan that they feel confident or okay with their plans.
I hear what you're saying about having the plan. I'm not so sure about the last part of that, having seen enough with Zeb Nolan. Patrick, can South Carolina beat East Carolina with Zeb Nolan going as the quarterback the whole way from what you've seen now in the one game and know what you know of Nolan's career?
Well, I think so because I'm low. I'm not high on East Carolina. I don't think that this should be a game that South Carolina is particularly challenged. Like, I think they should be able to run all over them. App State more than doubled them up on the ground. It was 86 to 226 in rushing yards. Like, South Carolina should be able to do that without the threat of a mobile quarterback. So the reason that I'm not even saying against, just I don't understand this is not because I don't think they can't beat East Carolina. Like, I think they will probably be okay. And if that's the plan, is just let Zeb play, let Zeb start, I'm in favor of just let him play the whole game and don't play Luke at all. And just his first look can be against Georgia, and you can just completely shock Georgia with whatever you're going to do with him. If that's like the gamesmanship they're working with, that's okay with me. I just don't understand we've been hyping up Luke Doty all summer. He's been our guy. He's by far the best. But now all of a sudden, Zeb Nolan has control of the huddle, so we want to play him. Like, this isn't something new either. I mean, obviously he's got a good football IQ. If you're going to hire him to be part of your staff as a grad assistant, you assume that he knows the game and is mature and can lead people. So it shouldn't have been a surprise that he came in and was mature and had control of the huddle. Like, I don't understand what the new information is here. So it's just, if we've been sold a bill of goods on Luke Doty for the last 4 months, then okay, that's a bummer that we all drank the Kool-Aid on this. But if Zeb Nolan, because he gets guys lined up better than Luke Doty is the starter, then that doesn't make any sense to me.
I think the other part you have to take is there needs to be more competition in that quarterback room. And, whether it's true or not true, some of the things you might say from this is that Jason Brown wasn't giving Luke Doty, that it was hands down Luke Doty's job, that Jason Brown wasn't providing the kind of competition that they needed. Why? Then you can get into a whole bunch of other questions about why didn't they go to Zeb Nolan earlier, or this or that. There's a lot of things there that you can kind of take away from it. But again, the equation here has changed a little bit. Zeb Nolan is now a part of it. Was it the greatest performance in the world on Saturday night? No, but was it a bad performance? Not at all. It was good enough to win the game. And quite frankly, South Carolina this year is in a position where whatever game you can win, you win. 2-0, 62-2, 62-60, you win the game. You'd love to have a nice flashy game on Saturday where you go up into Greenville, and it's 24-7 or 31-10, and you just dominate, and we all feel good. But we might get some people complaining next week. But if you win 17-14 on Saturday afternoon because you didn't turn the ball over, your defense played a crisp game, and your quarterback made just enough plays, and your running back dominated the game, you take it, and you leave Greenville 2-0, and you fight, and you scratch, and you claw, and you do whatever you can in year one to get to 6 wins and try and get to a bowl game. That's the name of the game right now. And South Carolina's quarterback position, I don't think we all overlooked it, but I kind of see where the quarterback position is and the need to upgrade it through recruiting. And I don't just mean with 4 stars, but building depth and quality depth. Tim, you and I think, Patrick, you might have been a part of the show when we did it a couple years ago, and Sports Illustrated had South Carolina's quarterback room as one of the top 5 in the country because you had Bentley and you had Helinski and you had DeCarrion Joyner.
Yes.
At that point, you had quality prospects behind them. Now we know where they're at. I don't know if you have that right now.
Well, and one of those guys left because you started a kid from a group of 5 conference over him, and then the next year you're going to start a kid who was a grad assistant over the heir apparent. Like that does, and to go win your point of just go win 17-14, win ugly, and then keep it moving. Then so you just don't play Luke Doty, win an ugly game by 3 points against a team that you could maybe blow out, and then just throw him to the wolves against Georgia. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. If you think he's better, then why just go play it safe in Greenville? Why don't you just go try and blow them out and win a big game?
You do agree that they don't think he's just better, though, anymore, right? If he was
Luke
better,
Doty?
then we wouldn't be having this conversation. If he was just flat better. Tim, you're with me on that, right?
No, I'm not with you. I'm not at all with you on that.
Nope, I'm not. We'll get back into it when we come right back. Patrick's fired up this morning. We're right in the middle of football season. There's a quarterback. Well, we won't call it a controversy and get too hyped up. We'll call it a situation for sure, though, for Gamecock football. 803-404-6100. Would love to hear your take. You can call us or text us at that same number, 404-6100. Up and rolling on the live video stream as well. Facebook, YouTube Live, on Twitter. The station handles at 1075 The Game. The YouTube page, 1075 The Game. Love for you to subscribe. You guys know how to catch us on Facebook as well. It's the early game. It's 1075 The Game.
Live, local, and free. How we do sports. 1075 The Game. Feel free to call.
To have these kind of conversations, you need a great night of sleep. Sleep Number beds provide just that. Bill Gunner for Sleep Number. Right now, the final days of the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale with Sleep Number. So you need to go check out and see what exactly is going on and what kind of deal you can get. I can tell you right now, you can save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing, but it ends this coming Monday. Subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Again, the final days of the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale where you can save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Telling you what, with a big weekend of football behind us, but another one on the horizon, you need those great nights of sleep to be able to root on your team. I put that Sleep Number setting on 65, and I wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go each and every day, not just for a great day of college football, but also for a sports talk morning show. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. Oh boy.
It is
a number. I think I said 6.5 or 7, Danny. I think I said 6.5 or 7. I was kind of on board with what Patrick said, I think.
Yes, big carrot season is in full effect, Anthony, no doubt.
Just wait till Sunday.
So, Bill, what was the number you ended up going with?
6.5 or 7. 7. I'll go 7 because what is it? One of y'all took 6.5, so I won't match you. I'll just go 7.
Yep, 7. I agree. Oh,
I
Chris,
agree. What we should do is when we come back, you should read this text message from Ray and say we should let it go and be like, all right, we're moving on to Evander Holyfield. We're not going to talk about this anymore because Ray says we should let it go and we shouldn't discuss what's going on right now with the South Carolina quarterback. We're going to move on, Ray. We hope you're happy. Patrick, what's the World Cup qualifying update for the men's national team? Let's spend.
Actually,
you and Jay pay way too much attention to the trolls, Bill.
I don't respond to him.
It would kind of be funny because he is kind of right that it like we don't actually know anything, and it kind of is a media controversy right now. But like that's just what radio is when you have to do 3 hours of radio a day.
No, when a head coach comes out on Sunday and says, I'm not naming a starting quarterback this week, it's not a media controversy.
Things are still up in the air, but like we should just say that. Say, yeah, you're probably right. Let's talk about something else, and then get into the U.S. men's national team versus Honduras game.
Right,
it is a
that would be
must-win
perfect.
tonight.
Yeah.
It's a must-win game.
Yeah, everybody's going to be watching that one.
Man,
Edge of their
A lot
seat.
of people are going to be watching it.
I'll be shoving bamboo shoots into my fingernails at the same time.
A lot of people are going to be watching it. If it wasn't at 9:30, a lot more would be watching it.
I'm sorry, that's when they set up this massive game for 9:30.
Well, it's in Honduras, so they don't just.
Yeah, a lot going on in Honduras on the primetime sports schedule.
Yeah.
Moving in there.
What do you know about Honduras?
They did need to accommodate the Honduras soccer fans. So how far is Honduras behind us? 4 hours?
I don't know.
I wouldn't think that far. I think they're pretty much straight down, aren't they? I'd guess Central Time Zone.
Hey,
2
Siri.
hours. 7:30 game.
What time is it in Honduras?
So they're Mountain Time Zone.
Honduras. It's 5:18 a.m.
Yeah, 2 hours behind. You can call it, Patrick.
I like how Honduras doesn't bow to the West Coast time. They're not going to start their big soccer match at 5:30 just to cater to.
We have like 3 super big time young guys that play in Europe. Pulisic had just gotten back from COVID and wasn't supposed to play the whole game, but he had to play the whole game. The other kid, Weston McKennie, who plays for Juventus, who's really good, got suspended for violating COVID protocols in the last game and didn't play when we should have won. And now he went back to Europe and is getting called out by a bunch of former U.S. players for being selfish and not playing in the qualifier tonight. And then our other guy who plays for Barcelona is hurt. So, yeah. One of the biggest sports in the world, and we're on the verge of not making the World Cup again after one of the best summers we've ever had.
Soccer hype. Love it.
It's America.
I'm supposed to call this caller Miami Jones. Are you serious?
We did this once, don't you remember? I brought this up. I was like, his name's not really Miami. You don't remember?
No.
What's his name?
I think this led us into the conversation. We had this conversation. We talked about how it related to horrible bosses.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that now? We had this.
Nope. And you're on
I
mute.
remember the caller, but I don't remember the conversation.
Great. I remember all our off-air conversations better than I do our on-air conversations.
Call him Mr. Jones.
Call him MJ.
I'm calling him Jones.
Hope he corrects you.
Jonesy? Oh, Jonesy's on the line.
I hope he won't speak to you unless you refer to him as Miami Jones.
There you
Coach
go.
Prime.
It's rough.
Where did we leave off, Bill? I believe you asked Patrick a question, and then he and I strongly disagree. So I think your question was, don't you think that the coaching staff has reevaluated and no longer thinks that Luke Doty is far and away their best quarterback? Is that what you were saying?
Well, yeah, just asking you guys in reference to where we sit today.
Yeah, so Patrick, go ahead. I'm with you that I don't think we know yet because of the injury deal. I think this week might show us a lot, and moving forward, obviously, is going to show us a lot. But I think the coaching staff is doing what you should do when you don't have a quarterback that's 100%. And somebody just hit us up on the text line a little bit earlier, asking about the kind of the tone that Luke Doty had in that soundbite that we played a little bit earlier. This is Tim on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Why did Luke Doty sound so unsure about whether he would start in his press conference? Honestly, I think Zeb may get the start too, solely on the uncertain tone that came off in that interview. But I think it was honesty. Now, it could be, you want to use maybe Will Muschamp conspiracy theory, that's the message that South Carolina football wants to get out this week, to have a little gamesmanship and to have a slight element of surprise against East Carolina. I don't think Shane Beamer plays those games. I think he already proved it in week one, where he met with the quarterbacks on Monday and named a starting quarterback and didn't play any kind of controversy or hype throughout the week, and went ahead and said it was Zeb Nolan. But I think it might be a guy who's not quite sure if his foot's going to be 100%, or knows that it's not 100% when he talked yesterday on Tuesday, and is hoping that it will be 100% on Saturday. Patrick, what about your response there to Bill? Where do you think the coaching staff is right now on their evaluations of Luke Doty versus Zeb Nolan?
I think they still think Luke Doty is the best, and I think they might be not that high. Like, Shane Beamer doesn't actually think what he said about East Carolina. Like, he thinks they should be able to win no matter what. So I guess just don't rush him back. If he's 100%, I'll be very surprised and will not be super thrilled if Zeb Nolan starts and then Luke Doty comes in later. Like, if Luke Doty plays in the game but doesn't start, it will not make any sense to me.
I laugh. You say super. Look, I think people will be super thrilled if South Carolina wins, and right now, I think, however they arrive at that conclusion, if it's Zeb Nolan or if it's Luke Doty, then you got to go with that. I'll say it again. You've got to find a way to scratch, claw, and fight to get to 6 bowl wins,
to 6 games, 6 wins this year, so that you can get to a bowl. The ability to show improvement and to continue to recruit and try and dig yourself out of the hole that this program has gotten itself in. A lot of that centers around getting to a bowl game this year and just being able to use it. I don't care if it's whatever the lesser bowl is now in the SEC. I think it's the Birmingham Bowl is still an option, but that's just where South Carolina is at. And this weekend, it is interesting. East Carolina, Mike Houston. I wonder what the perception for South Carolina fans would be if it's not Mike Houston leading East Carolina. By the way, the spread on this game, have you guys seen this? Tim, you had walked away on the live stream. Obviously, the spread has been discussed a ton. The Vegas number on this, South Carolina opening as a 3-point favorite. It pretty much instantly shot over to East Carolina being favored by 2 or 3, according to VegasInsider.com. Tim, you want to take a guess where the number is at as we sit here this morning?
I'll go down to 1.
It is now at a pick'em.
Okay.
It has now worked its way all the way back down to a pick'em. But I will say this, and it's a different kind of fun. We hope that this is not the discussion here in years to come. That in this kind of game that we're talking more about, okay, what does South Carolina kind of do to get ready for Georgia? But again, it's where South Carolina football is at this point in time. This discussion is at least a lot more fun talking about how South Carolina can go and win the game, or who's going to be the starting quarterback, than it has been for a while under Will Muschamp. I am at least excited to see whether it's Luke Doty get out there and show us what he's been talked about, or if it's Zeb Nolan playing in a second game.
Jody says, I don't believe we'll have a problem this weekend regardless of the quarterback, and hopefully whatever happens between Alabama and Georgia will benefit us. Jason weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line as well. I'd be okay if they held Luke Doty out until after Georgia if he's not 100%. By the look of the Clemson-Georgia game, whoever's the quarterback for Carolina against Georgia will be getting hammered all game. So let him get healthy until after the Georgia game. Marshall also weighing in with the text this morning. If Luke Doty doesn't start this weekend, do you let him start next week? First live fire of the year against that front with Georgia. And JS says, am I in bizarro land? We've seen firsthand in this program how a foot injury can wreck a player. Talking about Jake Bentley a couple of years ago. Why would a healthy Luke Doty be overtaken by Zeb? Is this not what Bill's implying, that Zeb is QB1, period? And I think that is kind of where your head is at right now, right, Bill? And I just can't get there with you. I get it that he helped Carolina in and out of the right fronts, through 4 touchdowns in the first game, but that was Eastern Illinois, man. I don't think that gets you enough credit, enough deposited into your bank account, if you will, to raise your stock that much. But I do believe that he's the second best option, no doubt about it. And to have him there as a calming presence will be good as a backup moving forward. But I agree with Patrick here. If Luke Doty's 100%, I think you go with him and full speed ahead.
Is Patrick frozen on the live stream? Because if so, that's an awesome picture that I've got currently with 2 hands up and a very serious mustache.
I did the same screenshot.
That he's got. That's a phenomenal. If you're not on the live stream, you're missing an incredible. That is a perfect picture of Big Carrot there.
I am frozen.
Yeah,
I'm still here. I'll just use this opportunity to pick my nose since I'm not on the live stream.
What do you got? Where were you going to go with Tim's take there?
Well, just like what are we not getting about 100%? 100% is 100%. Like I don't understand I understand wanting to be cautious but like let's hold him out till after the Georgia game so he's fully healthy. Like if he's 100%, he's fully healthy. Let the kid play. Like that is what 100% means. If he's not ready to play and you want to be cautious, then don't say he's 100%. He's 90% and we want to take the extra week to be sure. But if he's 100%, let him play.
But that's the thing. We don't know where he is percentage-wise as we sit here today. They say they expect him to be 100% on Saturday, but that they expected Kevin Harris to play. They expected the possibility to have Luke Doty to play in game number 1. Those things didn't happen. So we could get we expected him to get 100%. He didn't quite get there, and that's why Zeb Nolan played. I think the scenario that Bill's kind of talking about, where Nolan plays and starts the game, and then Luke Doty comes in, that's where it's a little confusing, right? So is he not 100%? And then you're putting him out there like you said you wouldn't put him out there. That's where I'm with you, Patrick. Like to me, it's yes or no. It's a binary thing here, right? A 0 or a 1. 100%, then it's your game. And Bill, you're saying that you think Nolan has shown them enough right now where it's not quite that black and white.
Yeah, let's be clear. I'm guessing for the staff. I'm not.
Have we gotten your opinion yet
on what I would do?
Yeah, I don't think we have.
I would kind of lean toward going. If it was me, if I was the coach and both of 100%, I would probably be okay with having a 2-quarterback system this game. To be quite honest, just because Zeb Nolan starts doesn't mean that he plays the majority of the snaps. Do I mind putting him out there? Look, I think we all agree. The bottom line for the South Carolina, whoever plays quarterback does need to hit some downfield passes, whether it's Doty or Zeb Nolan. But South Carolina still wins this game by running it effectively with Zaquandre White, with Marshawn Lloyd, with Kevin Harris, factoring in Juju McDowell.
Right, Bill, but
the quarterback,
not to be disingenuous, those two things are connected, right? I mean, you said it as clearly as anybody else. The game plan defensively against the South Carolina offense is really simple. You're going to throw a bunch of guys in the box and make them beat you with the pass. So you have to do that to loosen up some things in the run game, right?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I think they might be okay. Zeb Nolan can push the ball down the field. They've got to call more of those plays. There wasn't many plays down the field called the other night. Really, regardless of who the quarterback is,
the shots weren't taken. Remember, Jake Bentley didn't take any shots in that North Carolina game, and Will Muschamp said they had 17 deep shots dialed up.
Here's the great thing about that we can all be happy about. Guess who we get to hear from today?
An offensive coordinator.
Do you get it?
Somebody
can ask the offensive coordinator today what he was doing instead of the 18 or 19-year-old quarterback and the defensive coach.
And another good thing about that is you might actually get a straight answer, because when
I was
going to say before about numbers, he's actually given numbers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I might have to get on this Zoom
Satterfield also
call.
has not been and I shouldn't say go against Shane Beamer, but Satterfield has also been the guy who's been willing to say, like, yeah, we need to get one named sooner or later.
ASAP.
So, for all the people, you wonder, it will be nice to hear from Marcus Satterfield today and get his take on it. And then we'll come back in, for those of you who are enjoying this, we'll come back in and we'll reanalyze tomorrow morning the quarterback situation.
Hey, we'll do it for even those of you who are not enjoying this. We're just going to do it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we've proven we don't care.
I will also say this. I think Zeb Nolan, I'm kind of with Patrick, but I'm not as down on East Carolina.
We know.
Oh, yeah. I'm not as down on them. But I think I don't know if there's a quarterback right now to me out of those two that I'm like, yeah, you've got to go with that guy to win this game. I don't.
Well,
in game
who gives you
action-
the better chance to beat Georgia? If Luke Doty's 100%, then why are they even different questions? If Luke Doty's 100% and Luke Doty is going to give you the better chance against Georgia next week and he's 100%, then there's actually no world in which it makes sense to not start him.
I mean, the question is Luke Doty the best option?
And
well, if Zeb starts against East Carolina and Luke is 100%, then Zeb better start against Georgia next week too.
Yeah, Bill, if you're
it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
If you're convinced that what you saw in game one and then the resume that Zeb Nolan brought in to the program right now has him a notch above Luke Doty, I think that's a bad sign for Gamecock football. Would you agree with that?
No. I mean,
okay, we got to discuss
Luke
that
Doty
when we
is-
come back. I want to discuss this with you in more. I know. We got one text. You guys are way overthinking this. That's what we do.
We are.
It's
There
fun.
is. It's
No,
being-
we're
it's
not
being
way
well.
overthinking this. This is Carolina football. It's week 2. It's on a Wednesday. We kick off the second half of the show when we come back here. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 105 The Game.
If you think we're overthinking this, I think you're a Honduras soccer fan secretly that only wants to talk about
I thought you were going with your Zero Res commercial. I was like, wow, that's going to be a really good tie-in at Honduras soccer.
Let me tell you how much they need zero res in Honduras.
I thought it was going to tie in with some big tailgate you were having tonight. And
17-month-old is a big soccer fan.
I mean, yeah, we don't have much to do during the day, so he listens to Pearson and Jay from 1 to 4, and he is all in on soccer now.
He really loves those scarves. That kid in scarves, he's a big fan.
Yeah, the Pearson and Jay will break down the Arsenal game that no one cares about. This is something that, like, do you want to see the U.S. play in the World Cup next year, or do you genuinely not even care about that? Like,
nope, don't care.
So did I
then we can't
understand correctly?
even-
Basically, I was reading something yesterday that we are very far behind the 8 ball. Basically, we need to win a road game and not lose any more home games to get to the World Cup. Like,
well, the first phase of World Cup qualifying is 3 games. We should have won. We should have beaten El Salvador, and we should have beaten Canada. We should have had 6 easy points already, but we tied both of those games. The first one, Pulisic had COVID, so we couldn't play, and it was on the road, and it was whatever. But we should have had a healthy team against Canada too, and we didn't. So we lost. We tied them in Nashville on Saturday.
I wish I could
or
get that
Sunday.
shirt. Team USA Soccer. It was whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, we're in 4th place in our group right now, and the 4th place team has to be in a playoff. We definitely need to win tonight. We have to win this game on the road.
Travis, apples and oranges here, my friend. Connor Shaw didn't start against Mizzou back in the day because he was ill, not because of his foot not being 100%.
actually, it was because of his knee.
What?
Yeah, he got his knee crushed by that 6'8", 330-pound defensive tackle from Tennessee the week prior. That's why Dylan Thompson finished that game. You don't remember him coming in with a huge knee brace on?
I don't remember it
Yeah, the
differently.
knee. Remember that's that. I mean, granted, nobody's like, oh yeah, look at
Travis is with you.
Shaw with the knee injury. But yeah, when he made that throw to Bruce Ellen, he's got that huge knee brace on.
Wow. Okay, let me go to this. Talking about Zeb Nolan and Luke Doty in the same breath as Dylan Thompson and Connor Shaw with where those teams were, apples and oranges. Is that fair?
Yeah, there were different teams there. And also Dylan Thompson ended up with a cup of coffee in the NFL. I have zero expectations of Zeb Nolan, this storyline developing any further. Let's put it this way. I think there's a better chance of Tim Hill playing golf at the Birdies with Beamer golf tournament with Zeb Nolan next year as a graduate assistant than I do of us having an interview with Zeb Nolan while he's trying out for the 49ers or the Chargers or whomever.
Does he have a better chance than Colin Hill?
Where is he at? Did he finally get cut? I just never saw it posted.
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
I mean, I assumed he did because he wasn't going to make it, but I didn't know if he got retained onto a practice roster or anything.
No. What a fun day. What a fun day. You still got Fort Lauderdale Jones on the line
That's
there.
right. Trying to think of another town that's not as glamorous as Miami. Like Destin Jones or
West Palm Beach Jones.
Chattahoochee River. Yeah, like something.
I mean, that is a sweet sports talk radio name. I'm not going to lie.
It really
Miami,
is.
pretty cool.
That's why I couldn't really fight it too much. I mean, it's got some swagger coming in.
Call him
It's
Pembroke
just not
Pines
quite how we
Jones.
run our show.
Pembroke Pines Jones.
That's pretty good.
That's what I wanted to be.
Del Boca Vista Jones up next on the Love Chevy.
All right, right back in. Cape Canaveral Jones. I guess, Rip.
Welcome in. Half number 2 of the halftime show will be coming this afternoon at 2:30. Half number 2 of the right now. You like how I totally screwed that up and just kept on going. That's what we do in live
We
radio.
can't do anything right. Okay. Good job.
That's what we do in live radio. We keep it moving here, people. Game number 2. Carolina football keeps on moving at East Carolina. The question is, with what starting quarterback will it be? Luke Doty playing for the first time this year, coming off the midfoot sprain, or Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant that is a national story, threw 4 touchdown passes against Eastern Illinois in the 46-0 shutout win in game number 1. Do we have different camps right now? Bill, are you saying you think it's Zeb Nolan? And Patrick, are you saying it's Luke Doty? Or are you guys just doing this for radio and hyping it up right now? Where are we?
Yeah, Luke Doty. But it's
Luke
been
Doty
amazing.
from Patrick.
It's been amazing that Bill has gone an hour and a half and hasn't actually given us what he wants to happen. It's just
I want to win. I've
speculative.
said it multiple times. I want them to win.
That's
the
the
game.
worst
I
take
really
ever.
don't care.
That's
who's
the worst take
quarterback.
ever.
For all
That's
I
the worst
care,
take
put
ever.
Tim Hill, put you
That's
out
an
there.
awful
I really
take.
don't care.
Give an opinion. Who gives you the better chance to win? Nobody cares. Everybody knows we have to win the game. That's not an opinion.
Honestly, Patrick,
That's not an
I don't
opinion.
know who gives them the better chance to win because the 3
Right.
games that I saw, the 2.5 games I saw Luke Doty play last year under a different coordinator with a lot of guys out, I wasn't thoroughly impressed with Luke Doty then. But do I think he's made strides? I hope. I hope he has. I hope that Luke Doty needed to continue to develop as a quarterback. To be QB1, that Luke Doty needed to continue to develop. And I was really excited to see that going into the season. I will say this. I feel like all we're doing, I really don't care who they play. I really don't care. I will probably take South Carolina. I'll be a homer, and I'll probably take South Carolina on Friday in our pick segment to win the ball game. But the point being here is what I will say. I feel like with what I have to work on for this decision, I have a proven commodity, and I'm not saying he's the best option. I'm just saying a proven commodity in Zeb Nolan, who I've seen play one game under this coaching staff with these players. Whereas Luke Doty, I don't know. Luke Doty probably has the higher upside. probably has the higher upside. But Tim, do you know for sure? Do we know what Luke Doty's going to be?
No, we don't know what he's going to be, but we know what he's done.
That's the point. There's a lot of people acting like, well, yeah, he's definitely hands down better than Zeb Nolan because we don't know.
I mean, he's
Bill,
100 times better of an athlete, and Zeb doesn't have a special arm or anything that's like, wow, Luke couldn't make that throw. There's no throw that Zeb Nolan made against Eastern Illinois that you're like, wow, Luke Doty probably can't do that.
And I get all of you are texting in right now and saying that you weren't convinced by what you saw from Luke Doty last year. Completely agree with that. I'm with you guys. And Bill, I understand what you're saying, but we do know he beat out Ryan Helinski. That's so right. We saw Helinski. We saw him throw for more than 300 yards against Alabama, and then we saw him struggle the rest of the year. But we know that a coaching staff that had every reason to put Ryan Helinski above Luke Doty on the depth chart didn't do it last year. And at the end of the year, Mike Bobo thought that Luke Doty was the best option. That's what I'm going off of. And then the next coaching staff comes in and has no problem giving him QB1 title immediately. Now, maybe you think that poorly of the rest of the quarterback depth at Carolina, and then you throw Zeb Nolan into the mix, and it's a different deal for sure. But you bring in your track record. There was a reason that Zeb Nolan was going to be a graduate assistant and move on from college football. And I think there was a reason that Luke Doty went into the preseason as the undisputed starting quarterback at Carolina. And I think there's a lot of baggage that comes along with this with Carolina quarterbacks right now that Luke Doty doesn't necessarily deserve.
This is actually the same argument as last year. Like, yeah, Zeb Nolan can get guys lined up. Okay, that's what we said about Colin Hill. Like, Colin Hill knew.
Okay, all right. You guys have convinced me. Start Luke Doty. We're now with Pirate 82, right? If Luke Doty doesn't start, the whole staff should be fired, right? That's where you guys are at.
Start making good points against them. He just withers up.
Sarcasm.
It really is a dumb argument, and it's a dumb argument because it doesn't really matter. South Carolina needs to play good defense on Saturday, and they need to run the football.
But Bill, you keep saying that like a quarterback throwing the football isn't related to running the football well. It is massively important that Carolina looks a lot better in the passing game against East Carolina this week than they did against Eastern Illinois. Agreed?
They've got to throw it downfield more, whether it's called shots or taking the chance. I'm assuming I didn't see a whole lot of receivers running downfield on Saturday night from my viewpoint where I was at. I didn't see a whole lot of deep routes. I saw one.
If South Carolina performs on offense against Eastern Illinois like they perform against East Carolina like they just performed, it's not going to be good enough. You agree? I think they have to play better. They have to play better in the passing game specifically, or at least have a quarterback back there that can make more plays than we just saw.
I think people, and it's just like Justin on the live stream, like, it's not that I'm following. That's start Luke Doty. I have zero problem with that. You're asking, like, what do I think will happen? All I've given is my guess as to, and I'm only basing it on, this is kind of the stupid part where we have too many people who listen to this show who don't have listening comprehension. All I've done is give my opinion on what I'm hearing from Shane Beamer on what I think will happen. I have zero problem with them starting Luke Doty on Saturday afternoon. Go with him. Go with him. That's not a bad. I really don't. Even if he's not healthy, start him. If he's 90%, go with him. What's the difference between 90% and 100? Where are we drawing the line on that? Like what exactly is the difference? What he can't plant with his right foot and throw to the right side. It means that he can't take a 7-step drop versus a 5. Start Luke Doty. I haven't seen him play, so I would love to see him play. I'd love to see what the South Carolina offense looks like with Luke Doty. I think that would be the best thing because he is supposed to be your quarterback of the future. He's supposed to be the guy that you've got to start getting ready. So I would love to see Luke Doty play. You guys asked me what I think will happen. And all I've said that people seem to not understand is that, look, based on what I'm hearing Shane Beamer saying, the way I see them kind of playing this out is that they're going to play Zeb Nolan. That's all I'm saying. Is that I think that they're.
I did ask for your opinion, and you said, I think they just need to win.
Well, that's what I think. I don't really care if they play quarterback.
We did try to get your opinion, and you said, I think they just need to win.
That's what they need to do.
Wow. We'll try to get a clearer opinion from Bill from this quarterback situation moving forward. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
College football playoffs are here.
I feel like we're in a situation that my 8 and 6-year-old get in. They had a marble dispute last night. It wasn't pretty. There had to be some timeouts given in the whole thing, and it's not pretty around meal times these days at my house either. With the 17-month-old, when he gets done, he just starts throwing food. We really enjoy this phase right now, just throwing food all over the place. Makes me appreciate having the pros come out and help me get a handle on the house at my house. Zero Res Air Duct Cleaning's been out there helping us to get our house looking and feeling its best, and they've done that a couple of times. They can do that at your house or business. Zero Res does it differently too than anybody else. They have a ZR water. That's a patented ZR water where they crank up the pH in the water. No harsh chemicals involved. That's especially important in my house because with the 8 and 6-year-old always rolling around on the carpets, and now the 17-month-old as well, we need all the help we can get. Zero Res has given us that. They also have a great deal for you right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Let Zero Res give you the professional help around your house that you need to get it looking and feeling its best. ZeroResColumbia.com, where you can get your appointment right now online. You can give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, we haven't had a good show like this where we yelled at each other in a while. Patrick is thoroughly enjoying.
Yeah, I like this.
See, that didn't make any sense to me right there, Travis. You don't come in, fill in for a guy, and do fine, and then automatically get the start again. That's what that was. He did fine, right? 7. I give it 7 out of 10.
What do you give Doty's performances last year?
Less than that, for sure. I'd say 6 against Mizzou and maybe 5 against, was it Kentucky, the last one?
Well, even in the press conference, didn't Beaver say that Zeb, he did fine? Like, he was just sort of matter of fact, like, he did fine. Like, he wasn't just doing backflips. I know you're just talking about Doty, but.
Yep. That's why it will be interesting to hear what Satterfield has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Justin, that's my point.
Hey, this is Brad Giles with Giles Brothers Insurance. Our family has been helping South Carolina families meet their insurance needs for over 50 years. We can help you meet your needs as well by providing auto, home.
Justin, they might be in big trouble. They might be. I mean, there is that chance that they are in big trouble.
That's GILES Brothers.com to find out why we are the trusted choice in the Midlands. Come see the difference Giles Brothers Insurance can make for you.
So we have 2 callers. We have a couple minutes coming back.
Gotcha. Yeah, but it's not that simple. Does that mean that Doty's then available to come in relief if Zeb doesn't play well? Yep, I think that's very fair.
But Craig, why should Doty start? Because he was named QB1 ahead of Jason Brown. I mean, I'm just asking. I don't.
Does he need any snaps before even going into Georgia, or can he just start that game cold? That's what
but I don't think you worry. I mean, I don't think you can worry about Georgia.
Yeah.
This isn't a scrimmage game. This is not. I know Patrick and I differ on this a little bit because Patrick thinks that East Carolina ain't good, but this isn't a scrimmage game.
Craig, when you go all caps and exclamation points, that really overemphasizes the spelling.
Chris, what have we seen that has made Doty a better all-around quarterback? I hope he can be. I really do hope he can be. I'd like to see one 4-star quarterback work out around here. How many, Tim? Well, I guess you'd say Bentley worked out, wouldn't you?
What's that?
I was going to say, when was the last 4-star quarterback we saw work out around here?
You don't end your career at South Alabama and you work out as a 4-star.
His stats were actually pretty good last weekend, I think. I think he was 17 to 23.
All right, you guys are up.
Oh, man, it's fun yelling at each other about the starting quarterback situation around Gamecock football. Let's let someone else get in on this thing. Oh, Miami Jones has been waiting very patiently on the Love Chevy phone lines with the
best talk radio name maybe of all time. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, how y'all guys doing today?
Good, man.
Y'all got to lay out Bill. Bill's coming at it in a very measured response, trying to look at all angles. I kind of agree with him on certain things, but I believe what the coaching staff is actually trying to do is they don't know how good Eastern Carolina front going to be. So if you put Doty out there first and they come swarming and attacking and get it behind early, it kind of puts them in a bad spot to bring Nolan back into the game. What you going to do next week when you play Georgia? So I think they're going to let Nolan start, see how the game flow. If it goes pretty well, they're not as good as they think, they'll slide Doty in and get some reps for Georgia. If not, and Nolan's doing great, they're going to leave him in and let him play through Georgia and then bring Luke in, because you don't want to make Luke look bad in his debut, because as Bill pointed out, we really don't know what Doty really has. Like, we've seen 2 games, but outside of that, we don't know what he is, so you don't want him to be put in a game and look bad, and then it's like, oh, we have no future now. So I kind of agree with Bill.
Thanks for the phone call. That is way too much of a broad picture, I think, for where this program is. You got to win the game. Shane Beamer said it very clearly. He's going to evaluate what they've done in the past and what they're doing in practice and the whole thing, but ultimately it's going to come down to who gives you the best chance to win on Saturday.
But doesn't that contradict both of y'all's point of like, well, you got to get him snaps to have him ready for Georgia?
I haven't said that at all. I don't care about that.
I don't think either of us said. That was texters. I never said they needed snaps. I said I'd be okay. If you're going to start Zeb should play the whole game, and Luke shouldn't even touch the field, and then just go in completely blank slate against Georgia. No one's seen anything from him, and it'll be a complete shock, whatever it is. An offense they've never seen before.
Another caller, Tim, on the Love Chevy phone lines, gets the last 40 seconds or so here in hour number 2. Go ahead, Tim.
Zeb. I think you should play Zeb. He seemed really composed.
45.
He didn't do a bunch of stupid stuff like every other quarterback we've had in the last 50 years. So stay with Zeb and work Doty in slowly and see how he does. But
30.
Like he doesn't make a bunch of stupid, crazy mistakes and fumble balls when nobody's around and all that stuff. So Zeb,
thank you, Tim.
Stick with him as long as we can go.
I feel like
all year.
I feel like Tim and Bill and anyone who's saying that right now is bringing in so much baggage from former Gamecock quarterbacks. It's a good thing Marcus Satterfield hasn't been the offensive coordinator for decades around here. He's completely removed from that, and I'm glad we get to hear from him later today. Hour 3 coming up.
Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT.
This is fun, Bill. This is fun. Come on.
I thought that caller was just going to say Zeb and be done.
Yeah, it was a long ball.
I thought he was tough.
This is a good stat. I mean, about as even as fair as it can get.
Great point, Justin. Great point. Using stats.
4 touchdowns. Steve Young once threw 4 touchdowns and only 100 yards passing. In 1987. I've been trying to find someone that has like a 3-yard, 3-touchdown game as a running back. I haven't been able to find that yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you can find it in the NFL.
Yeah, the best passing yard one I found was a 100-yard, 4-touchdown game for Steve Young.
Whoa, hope from the top rope.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. Like this, I thought this is what he'd feed off of, you know. And I know he can hear, so I'll talk nice. But
Woo. Well, we'll get Bill's response on that when he's back.
probably take his ball and go home.
Well, that would be better than having to go monitor e-learning from firsthand experience. No, Scott. Oh, man. Good, Rich. Good. Oh, good stuff. Bill, Hope was dropping you from the top rope here.
She sends it with a hug.
And an LOL. You're not really mad right now, are you, Bill?
I'm dealing with e-learning. I needed coffee. My leg hurts. And I got Patrick saying that once Zeb Nolan starts, Luke Doty can't play at all.
You ever seen Big Daddy? With Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
You know when he gives him the sunglasses and he says, whenever you wear these sunglasses,
Right.
you're invisible.
You're invisible.
That's what we should do for Bill. Just give him some sunglasses. Put the sunglasses on. Nobody can say anything mean about Bill.
Nobody said anything mean about him.
Safe.
Just worried about him.
Hope wasn't being nice.
Hold on. Hey,
It
do you
wasn't
need a
nice.
pencil? You need a pencil or a pen? You got a pen? Do you want a pencil?
Bigger concerns over there. Bigger concerns.
Huh? Okay. All right. We got pencils.
Make sure you
That
teach
is a
him how.
That's
you
a
can
ridiculously
sharpen
dumb
pencil.
stat.
Make
Oh,
sure you
yeah.
teach him how to sharpen a pencil with a knife, though. Just, real
Yeah, the electric-
Technical pencils, but apparently he's just going to go with a pen for homework. So I'm guessing he's not going to make a mistake.
The electric pencil sharpener, a great investment at my house.
Oh yeah. But if you get into a bind, there's no power, and you don't have something else, you gotta know how you can whittle it with a knife.
You got Jen's thought process right there from the farm. Love it.
I'm telling you.
Never know.
Maybe I like that. I don't know. I had a toolbox when I was a kid, so.
The Detroit Lions had minus 53 yards against the Chicago Cardinals in 1943.
That's just your dumb stat counter for Craig.
Yes, I was really just trying to find I want there to be someone who's had a 4-yard, 4-touchdown game in the NFL. I really wanted there to be a fullback who's only done 4 goal line dives, but I don't think it's happened, and I don't know how to search for it anymore.
Alan, the East Carolina quarterback's pretty good. Now, what South Carolina's defense can do against their offense, I think that is as speculative as this quarterback conversation. They played against one of the worst college offenses there is. They played well. How much can you do it against the next step up?
East Carolina's quarterback's not that good. 55% completion and a pick.
Threw for how many yards?
295. 40 attempts, 22 of 40. Those are Sean Clifford numbers. 14 yards on 12 attempts.
What are we talking about now?
What, running the ball?
Holden Ahlers.
How many times was he sacked the other day?
4. And had a 60-plus yard run called back because of penalty.
Wouldn't have gotten that 60-yard run if the guy wasn't held.
It is kind of being overlooked that South Carolina should have scored 67 points the other night, right?
What's that?
At least 63. 2 touchdowns were called back because of penalties. And then it looked like South Carolina probably would have gotten a field goal out of Jason Brown's series, if not with a fumble.
Didn't they go and score anyway on those drives?
Well, the one touchdown, the interception, the pick 6.
We're heading back in.
I'm
Did
not
you see
sure
the interception called back against Tulane at the end of the Oklahoma game?
No, I missed that.
Should have been offensive pass interference in Oklahoma. Probably could have gotten Tulane. Maybe could have gotten Tulane to win.
I think the Jaheim Bell run, though, only ended up in a field goal, maybe.
Oh, still back. You guys are up.
Oh, I said it wouldn't come back. I said we were retiring it. I think it's a great time to bring it back. Bill doesn't seem to be in a good mood right now. I think we'll attribute most of that to e-learning going on at your house. Is that fair, Bill?
What time is it? We got one more. I got one more to get going in about 10 minutes. I think we're off and running, though. I think this is the first time I've had to do the e-learning here with both of them. Last week we had just one, and my son's really good at it. Like, he got up at 6:30. I was like, Dad, I got the computer set up. I got it on the screen. When the lady comes on, I'll stop playing video games. Like, oh, okay. You seem to know what you're doing.
Good deal.
Let's handle that. My daughter is the one that last night, my 6th grade daughter last night, as we were going to bed, as I'm putting her to bed, I was like, all right, what time do you got to get up so I can wake you up? Because I figured I'd do it in between breaks. She's like, she gave me what I feel is the typical student response in e-learning, which freaked me out. She was like, it's cool, Dad. I don't have much I have to do tomorrow. I really only need to pop in on those meetings. And I was like, I don't think that's how school works or e-learning. I don't think you just show up, wave, and be like, yeah, I'm here. I'm pretty sure there's some stuff that goes on. So I've been more concerned with that one this morning with her as we start this process. That'll be entertaining.
Girls.
Man, the process of this show has been fascinating. A quarterback situation, we will call it, around South Carolina football, because there is an or. Either Luke Doty or Zeb Nolan will start. And Shane Beamer will not tell us who the starting quarterback will be. I don't plan on Marcus Satterfield revealing that information today as well, but we will get to hear from the Carolina offensive coordinator. We heard from Shane Beamer yesterday in his weekly press conference. Witt starts us off on the YouTube live stream in hour number 3 saying, good morning, just got in, but I agree with Tim. Play the best quarterback. Don't plan on subbing one in or saving Doty for Georgia. Witt, I hear you, but this isn't that simple right now, because I think, Bill, your point this morning is you're not sure that the South Carolina coaching staff still believes that Luke Doty is the best quarterback. Is that where you're at right now?
I think if they did, that they would have just gone ahead and named him the starter.
Okay. See, I disagree with that simply because of the health of that foot. And I I think we have the Will Muschamp baggage where you think there are too many head games going on with coaching staff and how they're talking publicly versus privately, because last week, Shane Beamer could have continued any kind of quarterback controversy, but he didn't. He went ahead on Tuesday and made it public. Monday, he talked to the guys and let them know that Zeb Nolan was going to be the guy instead of Jason Brown and that Luke Doty wasn't going to be basically available. Some of you guys, really interesting takes on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Anonymous Texter says, starting Zeb over Doty would be a classic Carolina move. He was average against a bad FCS team, the texter says. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Scott, if Luke is healthy and can play, he needs to take snaps Saturday. I don't care who starts. We need some clarity with our quarterbacks going into SEC play. That one is the one that drives me nuts, right? This is not about quarterback clarity moving forward. This is very simply about winning a game that you're not favored to win right now. Bill, you gave us the latest updated line. It's now a pick 'em. South Carolina doesn't win at East Carolina when they haven't won more than 4 games in how many years? Since 2015. They haven't won more than 4 games. I get it. Carolina's down, and they've gone 4-8 and 2-8 the last couple of years. But 4-8 and 2-8 as an SEC team is much different than East Carolina not winning more than 4 games the last 5 years. I get it. Mike Houston's a good football coach. That they pounded SMU at the end of last year. They went and beat a bad Temple team as well. That East Carolina is getting better progressively. But so should South Carolina at this point. And I don't think what I saw in game number 1, Bill, and I think we've all basically agreed 7 out of 10 is a fair number to evaluate Zeb Nolan in game number 1. It's about a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. To me, that cannot be enough to have him keep the starting job over a healthy Luke Doty because of simply the athleticism that Luke Doty allows you to have. And I think what I saw from the offensive line as well doesn't give me a ton of confidence that Zeb Nolan's going to have plenty of clean pockets on the road in Greenville to pick apart a defense and to throw the ball downfield and help open things up for a running game. Bill, you've looked at me a little curiously a couple of times during this Gas Baggy Hot Take.
Well, I was trying to figure out. So you were pointing out, rightfully so, that East Carolina's last season of winning 4 more games was 2015. So what are you trying to say about them as a program right now?
They're not good. It's very simple.
But then you point out that the defensive line, the offensive line probably won't be able to block their defensive line.
Right. Not comfortably. Eastern Illinois is one of the worst college football teams there is, and South Carolina did not dominate their defensive line. Is that fair? I mean, Shane Beamer said after the game had some trouble with their movement.
Right.
That Carolina's known to do.
Okay. I was just trying to understand. Because I still think South Carolina's offensive line should make strides in game number 2 and should be able to block.
Should, of course, no doubt, absolutely should. But I think you also need a quarterback who's going to make some plays and help you out and loosen things up and give the defense other concerns as opposed to just being a guy who is a pocket passer out there. But then it comes down to health, right? And even I think you said even if Luke Doty's 90% out there, no way you can do that because that 10% difference can be putting your talented young quarterback in a compromising situation, and it can be unfortunately the difference in a bad play, a play that goes the wrong way. I don't think they'll do that. That's the one thing I know as we sit here this morning. What I don't know is how the coaches look at this thing, and I think that will be really interesting to hear from Marcus Satterfield moving forward today. Patrick, it looks like you've hit the wall in this conversation. Is that where you're at?
I'm with a lot of these people. If Doty is healthy and Doty is your best option to beat Georgia, to beat Kentucky next time you come to Williams-Brice, there's no reason that he doesn't start unless Shane Beamer actually thinks East Carolina sucks and you're just saving him. If you actually feel like East Carolina is a formidable opponent and you feel like you need to play the quarterback that gives you the best chance of winning, then he has to – and you start Zeb Nolan – then Zeb Nolan has to start against Georgia too. Otherwise, the math just doesn't work out. Like it just has to be that way. And if that's the case, then we've been sold a bill of goods on Luke Doty for 3 months, or something like the backup quarterback in North Dakota State is absolutely incredible now because he beat out Zeb Nolan, and he's not even starting. It's like the math is not working out in my head at all.
David on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Let the coaches do their job. Tired of all this negativity.
No.
What negativity are you talking about, David? Just speculating around the quarterback situation, which is what we're left to do when the coaching staff puts an "or" as the starting quarterback and says they're not going to announce one. Nathan says, I'm not worried about East Carolina at all. Their defense can't stop anybody. Carolina wants to. They can run the ball down the Pirates' throat. USC wins by at least 10 points. Well, Nathan, I encourage you, if that's your confidence level, maybe make some money off of it this weekend. If you listen carefully, anonymous texter says, to Shane Beamer's press conference yesterday, he clearly stated regarding the run game that part of it was because the quarterback didn't have them in the right place or the right protection wasn't called. Part of quarterbacking is not just throws you make, it's the analysis you make prior to the play. Luke Doty is the best on the team, and he has legs. If he's ready, he's the man. Coaching staff has made that clear. Well, that's where I agree with Bill in this conversation, that it gets awfully murky, because I think if you actually listen very closely to Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield lately, you hear the opposite of that. I think that was your point earlier, Bill, right? When you hear that Marcus Satterfield called the third down period that Zeb Nolan had, the very first one where he comes in, the best one that Carolina had to that point, that's a bit of an indictment on Luke Doty's ability to see what the defense is doing and get his offense in those right protections. That's where you're at as we continue to move on in this conversation, correct, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a lot to this this particular game, and one of the sides is how you view East Carolina. Who'd you say was one of the texters who just said, yeah, they're going to win by 10 points? Patrick has also been in the camp that East Carolina is not very good. Patrick, we don't need to give a score prediction, but I assume you're going to take South Carolina to win on Friday during our pick segment. I guess my question would be to you, by how many?
Well, yes, I mean, I think South Carolina should handle East Carolina. I think they're much better than East Carolina, but I don't think that factors into the decision at all, how good I think East Carolina is. If Luke Doty is 100%, and Luke Doty is your best quarterback, and Luke Doty will give you the best chance to beat Kentucky later in the year, Auburn later in the year, Georgia the next week, well, it doesn't make any sense in the world to not start him unless you just tell us he's not 100%. There's no gray area in 100%. If he's 100%, he must be your starter.
What you're saying is common sense. If he is the best quarterback on the roster, yes, that's common sense. That was Will Muschamp starting Jake Bentley again after Michael Scarnecchia beat Missouri and going right back to Jake Bentley because Jake Bentley was the quarterback, according to Will Muschamp, that gave them the best chance to win the rest of the games. What your point is, that's how it should work. You go with your best player. You go with your starter. I guess there's part of me now that wonders if that's the case. Last week, going into the Eastern Illinois game, Shane Beamer and I think Marcus Satterfield were both asked. I think Marcus Satterfield was. I know Shane Beamer was, but he was asked, hey, if Luke Doty's healthy next week, is he the starter? Shane Beamer really could have put the answer down. He could have answered it without seeing Zeb Nolan play at all against Eastern Illinois, and Shane Beamer could have just flat said, yeah, when Luke's 100%, we've seen enough. He's the starter. I mean, he could have, without playing a game, he could have squashed it. I guess my point on all this is not so much, here's what I believe, because I haven't seen enough of Luke. I haven't been to practices. And quite frankly, Luke Doty didn't play in any of the scrimmages that they had leading up to the first game anyway. So I don't know what I would have seen that could have helped me with that assessment.
Well, you saw a spring game, right? And it wasn't a wow performance.
Right. And so all I'm saying, Patrick, because I think we all agree, like, yeah, if Luke Doty is the better quarterback per the coaches, they're going to play him. I don't think this is some season-long head game to like mess with Georgia or Kentucky by not playing them this weekend. What I do wonder now is if there has been a change of thought now that they've seen Zeb Nolan for, 3 weeks now? Are we on 3 weeks? Does that seem right? Has there been something that they've seen that's changed their mind? Because I'll go back last week, the easiest thing in the world would have been to squash any of this and said, yeah, if Luke Doty's 100%, he's the starter. He earned that job. He's the guy we believe in. He's what we're going with. They didn't say that last week. Again, the easiest thing in the world would be to say, yeah, if Luke Doty's 100%, he is QB number one. But we're not getting that. And it does make me wonder if, not that we've been sold a bill of goods that was incorrect, it makes me wonder if there's been a change in what they've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Magic dust was sprinkled on Zeb Nolan's right shoulder. Is that the change that was made? Like, what did we see last week? I feel like I'm with who is it? JS. I think I'm taking crazy pills. He was just okay.
No, it's fine. Fine's the next level above okay.
Okay,
right?
but let me ask I'll ask the same thing. Like, what have you seen with Luke Doty that you say, yeah, he's that much
180
better?
yards on 21 attempts against Georgia versus 121 yards on 22 attempts against Eastern Illinois. He made Bruce Feldman's freak list. He's a freak athlete. He can run. He's got just as good of an arm as Zeb, and the coaches have been hyping him up the whole offseason. And he's higher recruited, and he's younger.
Why did that make you put your head in your hands?
And he's been a leader all offseason.
Colin Hill threw for 295 yards against Tennessee, and Luke Doty threw for 180. So that explains that right? Like, we would, if we were comparing Colin Hill and Luke Doty just based on stats.
You just said, what have you seen? What have you seen? What have you seen from Zeb Nolan? It was nothing. It was a big nothing.
I haven't seen anything that
you've seen 3 weeks of practice.
One above the other.
You've seen him lose his job to a freshman at North Dakota State who's not even playing anymore. You've seen him lose his job at Iowa State. Like,
I think that's the thing. I think what you're describing with Luke Doty is still potential, and I don't think you give up on Luke Doty because of.
All right, but what's the potential of Zeb Nolan? He's 23 years old, and he's in his last year of eligibility. 24. There's no potential there.
Okay. I'm not sure what you're basing it. So you're just basing it on the future of the program.
I'm basing it on a younger, better athlete who has
no.
upside.
Is it the future? Is it the future of the program or the one game scenario?
It's the same. I'm
Because if
saying
it's the future,
if Luke Doty's 100%, they're
I'm
one and the
totally
same.
with you. If you're basing it on the future, which is what you're doing, it's
No, I'm
totally.
not. If
it's
Luke Doty's
totally
at 100%, they're the same thing.
I completely agree.
Everything you just described is simply potential.
No, I'm
like
not.
making the 100, making somebody's 100 top freaks list really is irrelevant to the conversation because that doesn't have anything to do with going out and actually managing a game.
Athleticism is not important.
Man,
Kerryon Jordan's a great athlete. Should they just move him? I've seen him win the Georgia game.
Well, I was arguing for the last couple of years that Kerryon Joyner should have gotten snaps at quarterback. Don't put that evil on me. Don't you put that evil on me.
Kurt says, is Patrick turning into Stephen A? No, Steven says, the one thing we've seen from Zeb is the fact he won at a time when that's all fans really want. Steven, it was Eastern Illinois, man. Michael, South Carolina fans need to chill out. You bashed Muschamp. Now they're about to turn on Beamer. Can't win with his fan base. That's my favorite text of the day. 803-404-6100. Oh, yeah? Is he yelling at us for yelling? No. Gamecock, you can't call up every day and start to try to pick your own fight and start yelling at us and tell us not to do it. How dare you, sir?
Now, today, Marcus Satterfield's going to announce that Zeb Nolan will, in fact, be starting on Saturday, and Gamecock Larry's going to call in tomorrow and say, I told you, Zeb did good last week.
Alan on the YouTube live stream. I can go on and on. We as fans haven't had the confidence in our QBs since the Connor Shaw days. Just because a quarterback is outstanding in high school doesn't mean you'll have success here. Our quarterbacks haven't shown me anything. But I would go the opposite and say that there's always too much confidence in these high school quarterbacks coming in. There's no doubt. That's where this fan base is. So for those of you texting in about the negativity and the whole thing, I don't know what you've been watching. I think maybe you're not Gamecock fans. There's a difference between negativity and reality. Quarterback position just hasn't played nearly well enough for South Carolina in the last several years to win a bunch of football games. That's simple. That's why this conversation, I think, is getting as heated as it has been this morning, because it's not just about who plays quarterback against East Carolina. If Zeb Nolan starts over a Luke Doty, then that's a bit of an indictment on the program. That's the subtext of all of this, I think. You disagree, Bill? You put throwing your hand up?
the program has 6 wins in 2 years. It is a bad what indictment on the pro? South Carolina's going to a program. They're going to play East Carolina, and they're in a pick'em. What? I'm blown away when people say it's an indictment. Yeah, the program stinks. It got run down. It's going to take years. Like, yes, this is an indictment on the program. That's where it's left.
If you have a ultra talented young quarterback, it is a much different thing than saying you have a guy who some fans thought could be that, or certainly is that on paper, and then got beat out by a 24-year-old who was a graduate assistant 3 weeks ago. That's a massive difference. And I get it. So I don't understand. I can't comprehend how you can say, oh, South Carolina has recruited well in years past, and I think they should be better than they are. And you picked them to be 6-6 this year, and then tell me that the program stinks, and you got to have a 24-year-old former graduate assistant to play quarterback to win a game at East Carolina in week 2.
Because there are certain positions they've recruited really well at, Tim. The defensive line does have really good players. The running back position seems pretty well set. The tight end position looks, we're still learning about some of these guys, but looks to be a position that you're comfortable with. The offensive line's not bad. But quarterback is one of them. Yeah. Quarterback is one of those that you can go the opposite way with that.
Right. But if Luke Doty plays well this year, you don't. It's that simple, right? It comes down to him singularly, because I don't think there's a lot of confidence that it will be another guy, unless it's Zeb Nolan who comes out and has some kind of career resurgence and just completely is in sync with what Marcus Satterfield and this offense wants to do. That likelihood is not high.
It could happen, though. I would like to apologize to Derek from Williston for saying that he has no future.
Okay, but not Zeb Nolan himself, just Derek from Williston.
No. He said, please get out of hyperbole land and shut Patrick's mic off. Saying someone has no future. Wow, you, sir, have no future as a radio host with the attacks.
Actually, I think
it was actually one of my favorite texts we've ever gotten.
Patrick's future as a radio host is much brighter when you start talking like that. That's what the national guys do, by the way. Maybe from a local standpoint, I'm with you.
You, sir, have no future.
This is fun. We're having fun with this, and that's where I think we need to get Gamecock fans to this morning, Bill. That this type of conversation can still be fun. That we have all taken a trip into college football land this morning and understand we can all just a strictly college football discussion, and to be here where we haven't been for the last 18 months or whatever the world's been, I'm loving it.
I hope Shane Beamer's was listening this morning. I hope he got in early, was listening to this show, called Satterfield and everybody into his office, was like, listen to these idiots. Oh, man.
I'm highly concerned if that was the situation over at the football operations building today. We'll continue the discussion. Love for you to continue to be a part of it as well. 404-6100. You can call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
I've read in books, I think the internet too, that the best way to handle discussions with your coworkers afterwards is to just go for a nice long drive. Just get out in the country, roll the windows down, let the hair blow, just calm, maybe listen to a little bit of music. The key is you need a fantastic vehicle to do that. You need something that's reliable, that's trustworthy. You need something that you can depend on to get you over conversations with your coworkers. And at Love Chevrolet, they've got you taken care of. You can go visit Love Chevrolet, that sales staff, the $1,000 low price guarantee. They're going to hook you up with a brand new Love Chevrolet vehicle, maybe a Silverado, maybe a Tahoe, whatever you've been looking for. The selection at Love Chevrolet is unbeatable. And then the deals you get, that can't be topped. You know what I mean? You can actually go shop other dealerships around, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they'll write you a check for $1,000 if they can't top it. It hadn't happened yet. Won't happen anytime soon. And you will leave the lot feeling great about your brand new purchase. You'll leave a discussion with your coworkers and get in your vehicle that you bought from Love Chevrolet and be able to take a nice cruise through the countryside and relax and calm down. And it's all because of the great folks at Love Chevrolet, that incredible sales staff. Go visit I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. One other reason, maybe you're not in the market for a new vehicle. Maybe you want something that's certified pre-owned. You want a fantastic pre-owned vehicle, and Love Chevrolet's got you taken care of. An incredible selection of vehicles, an awesome sales staff, so knowledgeable and ready to help you. You're going to be very happy with your purchase when you leave the lot at Love Chevrolet. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
Text just all over the map this morning. Love it. Did you just go to Texas, John, from Orangeburg? Because he said, great job, Patrick. Finally, someone takes another perspective on the quarterback topic.
I don't even know what perspective that is.
I was going to say.
But great job.
Thank you.
And you
everybody needs
have
to subscribe right now, by the way. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, you need to subscribe to the YouTube.
We're not back. We've gotten into the 60s a couple times on live viewers the last few days.
Yeah, and I'm seeing like some people have the routine of watching us when they get to work, I think. They just click on the video and watch us, a little bit after we're done with the live show.
Yeah, you might actually want to promote that when we come back. Anything you've missed, any anger or facial expressions, you can always go to you might want to mention that when we come back, because that is something we can sell on that.
That's awesome.
Attaboy, Andrew. There you go. Enraged, yet in agreement.
I think you're right, Andrew.
I always like the person like this guy, Danny, on the text line who says, there's absolutely zero, in all caps, chance Zeb starts Saturday. End of debate.
Awesome. Strong take. Strong take.
I feel like Ray and Bowman can't weigh in this morning because I'm at least being the one who's South Carolina might stink. I totally get that. They might be really bad. And that doesn't go with his narrative.
I feel like he is living in your head if you're referring to him right now.
I pay attention to certain texters because they amuse me. Nobody lives in my head. I just get amused by certain things and certain people's reactions.
Amuse you? Most extreme take. We just got it. Oh, he was just making fun of it. Good stuff. Attaboy, Jake. I'm with you. Struggle is real.
So basically, this kind of sounds like this show has sounded kind of like what it sounds like when you're taking care of a newborn at times.
Yeah, maybe a newborn, the 17-month-old now. That guy's out of control.
Must be the parent. I don't know.
This is quite the soliloquy here, Sean.
Kidding.
What if Luke's 100% after the first few weeks? Coaches see that Zeb is better than Doty. What if the coach named Doty QB1 on spring to boost his confidence? What if after last week and more reps, Zeb's the guy? Coach Sat did say that. But then the program is in rough shape, Sean. Rough shape. Good to hear, Jake. Good to hear. You got a good one.
That's good.
I had a girl, Hope.
I like how Hope and everybody's promoting like just violence on the show at 6 to 9 a.m. I'm going to have to get different coffee.
Not violence.
It's violence, Jen. It's the point of violence.
Good point, Craig. Good point. 17 months, though, not quite a year and a half. I thought he was 18 this morning. The dude does like to throw. You do have to say 1, 2, 3 throw before he lets it go, though.
Oh.
So you might have to go to the NFL and have the thing in his ear. They actually turn it off.
He needs the walkie-talkie.
Yes, Hope. That was maybe the most sensitive take ever.
No, it's fine. This is what it is. You guys don't understand. I wake up and you guys don't pay enough attention to Twitter and memes and everything. You guys, you're so old. You're just old.
Oh, the head's in his hands.
When
It's
people
like
wake up and they say they chose violence today, you never
that's an
understand that.
imbalance. I threatened to smack you upside the head. That's
Yeah,
violent. Nobody's done that
that's
today.
true. In your defense, violence to you is legitimate physical harm to somebody. That is a good point.
What is it? Verbal violence? Is that what this is?
Yeah. You yell at your kids for not wearing one sock to school or forgetting their lunchbox or hitting
I'll
the
go back to
snooze
some
alarm.
of my cards. Risk of losing your man card. You cheese with that one.
Yeah, see, you do technically choose. You do technically choose violence. You just don't understand that you do it.
Not me, man. I'm a delicate flower, my friend.
That is not. What happened to Patrick, by the way?
Karma got him. How about that? His internet ran out of batteries?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, here we go.
The Doty comment about his health here, please.
Oh, hold on. Ah. Why isn't that starting?
I did a lot in practice, and it felt good. So it's definitely been a good recovery, and it still got a little ways to go, but I'm definitely getting there, and I'm feeling good about it.
Luke Doty, yesterday's press conference. He talked ahead of Shane Beamer's weekly press conference. Today, we get to hear from offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield and others. Defensive coordinator Clayton White also going to speak. And, and Bill, it might be a little bit ironic, I think. If I had to choose what was more important going into Saturday's game, offensive production or defensive production, Carolina, I choose defense. If Clayton White's defense can look anywhere close to what we saw them look like on Saturday, I think Carolina's going to have a really good chance to win the football game. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game where South Carolina can just outscore their opponent. The offense hasn't proven that to me at this point. I do think it can be a game where the Carolina defense can control that East Carolina offense and kind of dictate its will from that standpoint. If you had to choose right now, Bill, offense or defense, which one is more important for the Gamecocks to play better on? Which side of the ball is it more important going into the East Carolina game?
Offense.
I know it's going to sound crazy, but it is offense. And I don't feel like I know enough about this offense after watching last week. To answer you guys' question, what would I like to see? Not what do I think will happen. I'd like to see Luke Doty start. And the reason being is I'd like to see the future of the program and what it looks like. Do I think that's what they'll do? No. But I do think the offense needs to play better. The offensive line needs to run block better. There needs to be more shots down the field. I'd like to see Jalen Brooks run 25 or 30 yards down the field one time and catch a pass and keep running. That would be a really neat thing. The offense does need to play better. The defense is going to have some warts and some issues at some point. And this is a game with East Carolina that I think is going to be very interesting to step up in speed and just kind of scheme is going to be interesting to see. But the offense does have to play better this Saturday. And whether that's Luke Doty and whatever he brings to the offense, or whether it's Zeb Nolan throwing the football vertically and not short passes, but throwing it vertically, the offense to me has got to be much better on Saturday.
Chris is with me. He says defense. Give the offense a short field to help out. Patrick, what about you? You got to pick one side of the ball. offense or defense, which needs to perform better for Carolina to get the win against East Carolina?
Also, you just mean, by the way, when you say perform better than you don't mean perform better than last week, because the defense can't really
be the better unit.
Yeah.
You got Patrick.
I would probably say the defense, because the defense is the better unit for South Carolina. So if they just kind of do their thing, sack this guy. What did you say? 4 sacks? Sack him 4 times. I mean, sack him 5 or 6 times, short fields, make it easy on the offense, and just don't give up points. I mean, if you can hold them to what App State hold them to 19, if you can hold them to under 20, like I feel good about the offense being able to put up 20. So just play to what your potential is.
Going on the road, I feel like when a home team's offense isn't playing well, it is hard to get a bunch of home field advantage going. A lot of energy, enthusiasm, and the whole thing. And for a team that just hasn't won a lot in the last couple of years, certainly hasn't gone on the road and won a lot in Carolina, I think that could be important. So something to keep in mind as we continue our discussion about the Zeb Noland and Luke Doty situation, which a bunch of you have weighed in on. The funniest one that has happened so far just came in a couple of minutes ago. This is from an anonymous texter. If they don't start Luke Doty, I'm never watching the Gamecocks again. If they do start Luke Doty, it's clearly a desperation move. I love being a Gamecock, the texter said. Good stuff. Quarter says it hurts to admit it, but I agree with Bill. Patrick's argument that Doty is a freak athlete doesn't make him a good quarterback. Tom Brady's not a freak athlete, but he's the greatest of all time. Not saying Zeb will be that by any means, but he may be able to run the offense, make better decisions, and protect the football better, so there may be a controversy. We haven't seen enough from either to say who's best or gives us the best chance to win. I agree in a Carolina uniform we haven't, but I think Zeb Noland has established who he has been as a college football player, to hope from the Gamecock perspective that it's Luke Doty 100% moving forward, and then maybe in some backup situations you see Zeb Noland out there. Bill, is that a fair characterization right now?
Hold on, let me get my pad.
Get your pad. All right. It's first of all, it's college football versus the NFL, and being a mobile quarterback is more important in college football. Second of all, he's clearly not Tom Brady. He had a fine game. He didn't have a Tom Brady-like game. And what people saying, what has Luke Doty showed that he hasn't? Like, in one half against Missouri last year, Luke Doty had a higher completion percentage and more yards, and threw a 25-yard pass, which is more than Zeb Noland had. This is against Missouri last year, plus 59 yards on the ground. I mean, that by itself in one half was better than what Zeb Noland did against Eastern Illinois. Against Georgia, he had 190 yards. He had 85 yards against Kentucky, so Kentucky was very bad. But 190 yards against Georgia. Like, this is showing something. We're not saying that it was incredible last year and he deserved to come in here and be completely unchallenged for a starting job or whatever. But Zeb Noland showed us very little. The 4 touchdowns, I think somebody broke down the 4 touchdowns. I got to go back and find that text, but it was not a Tom Brady-esque performance.
Good point. You make a good point, Big Carrot. You make a good point. But since we're going to go back in the past,
Oklahoma game.
Can we bring back up the Oklahoma game?
No,
I present to you my case of the Oklahoma game. And I don't just present to you my case of the Oklahoma game. I present to you my case. No, because if we're going to go back, if we're going to start using people's past here, we're going to say, well, Luke Doty threw for 180 yards against Georgia. How about against Big 12 play? How about Big 12? And by the way, you guys are really putting me in a corner here, because I'm not trying to defend Zeb Noland versus Luke Doty. I told you I would love to see the future of South Carolina on display on Saturday with Luke Doty. I'd like to see the South Carolina offense. This is where I do agree with Patrick. With Luke Doty, could be a lot more dynamic. Could be being the operative phrase there. It could be a lot more dynamic. And I think there is something to be said for preparing your offense, which is what they did for basically 9 months to take advantage of Luke Doty's skills and his ability to run. That offense could be a lot better with Luke Doty than it is with Zeb Noland. I have zero question about that and will not fight you on that one bit. But to sit here and say, well, Zeb Noland only did this. Well, against Big 12 competition, another Power 5 conference, 76 for 131 yards, 999 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also had a game against Akron, who I think would be a similar opponent to East Carolina, in which he was 26 of 34 for 233 yards and a touchdown. Let's not act like it's a one game.
Bill, what year was it?
The Akron game?
What year are those stats that you're?
Yeah. Hey, what did he do?
2017 and 2018.
Hey, what did he do the week after the Akron game, Bill?
I don't know. The only reason I have the Akron game written down is because the only reason I have the Akron game. Hold on, listen, let me finish.
Weird.
The Akron game written down is because that was the one game in that stretch that was not a Big 12 game. The Big 12
what he did the next week?
6 of 131 for 999 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
The week after the Akron game, he went 14 for 28 with 79 yards against TCU.
Okay.
How you? That's 2.8 yards.
He's not playing TCU this weekend. He's playing East Carolina.
He's not playing anybody this weekend.
Exactly. So I'm not worried about TCU and Gary Patterson's defense.
Bill, last year or just this spring, North Dakota State.
Yeah, he didn't play good. He had a bad in a weird season. He had a very bad year, or he had a questionable year. He got beat out.
But he got beat out by a mobile freshman quarterback. Does that sound familiar?
Look, again, you guys are we debating who should start on Saturday, what we think is going to happen, or what we want to see?
Well, you just debated for Zeb Nolan.
Because you guys are acting like Zeb Nolan is some bum that South Carolina's trotting out there.
He's not a bum. He's just a coach. He's not a bum. He's a coach.
He's a coach turned player, Patrick. Pete Rose did the same thing.
We're dealing with reality. That's all. Just dealing with reality, man. And
the stats I gave you, is that reality or not?
It is a portion of reality, but not the full portion of reality. It is the glass half full way to look at it. And again, no one's pulling against Zeb Nolan.
You guys are coming across pretty. You guys are coming. Patrick's already said he has no future.
I don't want him to start all year and then Luke Doty transfer.
He's not going to transfer.
Oh.
He's not going to transfer. Let's not go so far over the dramatic line this morning. Luke Doty is not going anywhere. The program is Luke Doty's, and that's why I would like to see Luke Doty on there. I'd like to see what the offense looks like with him. What the offense that was designed by Marcus Satterfield. Yes, I would love to see that. And there's a chance that Luke Doty comes out and is absolutely phenomenal on Saturday because the offense is designed to take advantage of zone reads and things where he can use his legs. But we don't know what's going to happen. And that's kind of the fun. To me, I will admit this. It's the fun part of this discussion. It's also the fun part of this learning the Shane Beamer era and now learning this football team. We don't know what's going to happen. And it's a lot of fun to discuss and talk about because guess what? We all get the results here in about 3 days.
CJ, stay with me here. We're pretending we're comparing apples to apples with Doty and Nolan. And we are. One apple is fresh and ripe. The other was dropped behind the basket and found when we went grocery shopping and bought more apples. Not saying Nolan's a bad QB, but Doty has to be our starter. Maybe it's ugly early, but Zeb is just about at his athletic peak. Luke is just scratching the surface. I thought he was going to use like the bruised apple analogy, and then maybe it was going to ripen up and be fine again after that with the injury situation. One of you already hit us up too as well, saying that isn't it just a sprain for Luke Doty? Rub some dirt on it, get in there, and Connor Shaw would play in the whole thing. Yeah, this is a sprained foot deal, and I think it's a little bit different than that. Just hearing some specifics last week from the doctor we had on about the mid-foot sprain and the Liz Frank and what we know about that. Bill, are you with us? You've asked what this conversation is about, acting like you have no say in what this conversation is about. Are you with Patrick and I? If Luke Doty is 100%, he will start for South Carolina against East Carolina.
No,
I don't think just because of what I'm listening to Shane Beamer say.
Are you asking me if he's 100%? Do I think he should start?
No. Do you think he will start? If Luke Doty is 100%, you're not sure.
I really feel like listening to Shane Beamer now, going back to last week when they asked and said if Luke Doty's 100%, is he back into the starter's role? I don't feel like it's a for certain. I kind of lean towards Zeb Nolan starting. That's who the coaching staff starting, regardless. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
And would you feel this way if the Colin Hill situation hadn't gone down last year for Carolina?
Yeah, because that's what I'm hearing the coaches say. I feel like they could have put this to bed and said, yes, when Luke Doty's 100%, He's the starter.
He's the starter.
He won the job in February. He used the old Will Muschamp. He won it on Tuesday. Won it on Wednesday. He won the job in February. He won the job in March. He won the job in. Yeah, I feel like they could have said, hey, when he's 100%, hands down, no questions asked, he's back in his starter's role.
So if Marcus Satterfield says that later on today, then that will have your mind changed, or do you think Shane could overrule him?
I think Shane could overrule him, but I also think I'm not stupid enough to. I feel like they probably talk to each other. They're on the same page. If not, that's probably a bad sign too. But no, if Marcus Satterfield came out today and said, "Yeah, if he's 100%, he's the starter," I'd be like, "Okay, well then there's your answer." Now we're done with that conversation. Now we move on to what does the offense look like.
If we are negotiating what quarterback gives us the best chance to beat East Carolina, are we really where we need to be as a program? Kevin and Casey says we should be able to beat them with either quarterback. Let the young gun rest and get healthy for SEC play. Kevin, no doubt in a theoretical world, absolutely South Carolina should be able to win with quarterback 1 or quarterback 2 against East Carolina. But that's not the world we're living in. We're living in 2021 where there's a brand new coaching staff in place, a couple of completely unproven quarterbacks by and large in college football at this level that are the options for South Carolina, and then a passing game that has struggled for how long now from the South Carolina standpoint? It's been a while. So I get your theoretical question, but I think we're in a different place. There's a reason why it's still a pick'em there out in Vegas for this weekend's game. Dramatic conclusion of the show, of the most dramatic show we've had in a long time. Coming up in just a couple of minutes. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge.
Heated. Didn't definitely gonna need the air conditioner this morning. Thank goodness AAA Heating and Air has been taking care of me. Billy, the technician, came out, has made sure everything is working perfectly fine. Roy and Dana Finley have treated me like a family member, which I'm not sure why, because I'm not a good family member, but they have taken care of me, and they will definitely take care of you. AAA Heating and Air, my go-to when I have any issues, or more importantly, when I need to get my heating and air unit inspected to be ready, whether it's for a hot summer or a cold winter. You need to do the same. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with AAA Heating and Air today. Get them out to your house and get that unit inspected before the winter comes. You don't want to wake up like I did last year before I started using AAA Heating and Air on Christmas morning, only to find out heat hadn't been working. We were in the low 60s here at the Gunner household. So this year, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to refer to my friends at AAA Heating and Air, make sure that they have my heating unit out here working perfectly fine. They'll do the same for you. 803-677-1500. Again, they'll work with you. They got to take away your old unit. $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. Then no money down, 0% financing to help with any payments that you may have. And then this is the best part about AAA Heating and Air. They want to be there long-term for you. They want to make sure that you know they are working for you. They offer you a 15-year parts and labor warranty. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. But all righty.
Versus Deer incident, Old Eastover Road at St. Matthew's Church Road. Looking for those scattered storms to be rolling in sometime after lunch today. 87 for the high, 84 tomorrow with a few storms around. It's cloudy and 76 right now. 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by JustPlainKillers.com. Heartfelt sympathy to those South Carolinians who have lost loved ones.
My bad. Thanks for the heads up. Notice that those national shows where they yell at each other are usually like 30 minutes or an hour, not 3 hours.
It's true.
You guys see Michael Irvin almost losing his mind the other day with Stephen A?
Oh, did he?
They get after that.
They were talking about Jordan versus Tom Brady and Michael Irvin.
They were talking about Jordan versus Tom Brady.
When did I leave? I've been sitting right here.
Well, you got to. It's Chuck's first time. I think Chuck doesn't realize that, like when we go to do a commercial, we go to the one shot.
Attaboy, Chuck. Good to have you. Good to have you.
No, get out of here. Shoot.
Patrick's just happy to be back in his house, in his own bed.
No, I wish I was still on vacation.
How dare you? That's what all this bitterness is from.
Yeah.
Well, I will admit, at about 6:02, I was like, all right, we got some Beamer. Right before Patrick got on the live stream, I told Tim, I was like, all right, we got some Beamer cuts, and I don't know, top 25. What else we got? I don't know if we're going to be able to make it through this show. Oh, no problems. That's what football season does.
Mm-hmm.
And there won't be a lot of time when you get back either.
Nice.
That really, honestly, can we just pull that segment?
Oh, look at Sam.
I don't know if I can go full handlebar. Would like to try it.
Yeah, he looks like a handlebar guy.
I don't know if it'll work.
You
I think
do
that's
look like
that's
a villain. You do have a bit. If you dyed your hair black, I would think that any woman down there is in danger of you tying them to a train track and standing off to the side with that laugh while rolling your mustache.
I left my razor at home.
I think if he ends up going handlebar, we'll call that the Luke Doty. That's the future, Patrick. I think what you have right now is Zeb Nolan.
I don't really know how to do the handlebar. I would like to have a handlebar. I want that to be
Shoot
clear.
the Oregon strength coach an email.
Do I just let it keep going and just not
Yep.
shave this? Try to not shave this part and let it even out.
That's what happens.
Well, that's the beauty. How to grow a handle. There we go.
How far down does the handlebar? It goes like fully down to the chin, right?
So this is Patrick. This is from artofmanliness.com. Everybody knows that is the main go-to.
Sure.
Grow a mustache and don't trim it. So you can't trim it. Then you got to learn. You got to comb it. You got to comb it. Comb it once a day and create a part by combing the hair out from under the nose to the left and to the right. This will train your stash to grow out in the traditional handlebar fashion.
So I need a tiny comb.
Patrick, step number 3 is you're going to have to wax it.
What does that mean?
It says you're going to have to, it says after you get out of the shower, leave your mustache damp. Starting in the middle of your lip, apply a small dab of mustache wax with your fingertip to the upper edge and use a comb to spread it down through the hair.
Hang on, I might have beard oil. Will that work?
It says mustache wax.
Is he going for like the 70s porn star look or what?
It says, wow, Jen. So then to add to that distinctive handlebar curl, apply some wax to the ends and twist the hairs together with your fingers. Then curl the twisted hair up and in. You can also create a curl by winding the ends as tightly as possible around a writing pen.
So is he okay? So is then when you say something about curling, to me, I'm picturing like Bullwinkle.
As Patrick still, I'm reading
bad
this
guy.
final piece. This is important, Patrick. This is the important piece. Owning a handlebar mustache is a commitment. You have to wash it, comb it, wax it, and curl it every day. But when the day arrives, you have to take part in a bare knuckle boxing match. The investment will be well worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picturing Hulk Hogan.
All right, going in. Got about a minute.
So that's only natural.
Incredible show today. Appreciate all the participation. It has now ended on the videos mustache discussion, which I think is perfect. Let's end with this on the show. Scott says, if y'all had to win one football game with Luke Doty or Zeb Nolan, based on their resumes, who would you start? Just one word, Luke or Zeb. Patrick, what do you got?
Man, Luke, but I'd want more than one word.
Bill, Luke or Zeb?
How many seconds do we have left?
Can we start with this tomorrow?
Can I draw this out to where I don't have to answer it?
Answer.
Yeah, I would go right now. I'd go with the proven.
Your constituents. Your constituents need an answer, Bill, and you're going Zeb?
Zebuliah.
My answer would be Luke at this point. The new Twitter handle though of Colonel Zebuliah Noland is fantastic. encourage all you guys to Twitter and check that out for a laugh. I hope you had a laugh and didn't get too ticked off at this show today. And Patrick, sure.
Okay.
Nice, RL. Nice. Great question, Alan. Polly's good, right? I think we got confirmation that the next day.
Physically, yeah. Emotionally, no.
Oh,
It was leaving yesterday was so sad. She was crying when I was packing all my bags. And then she was out taking a walk when I drove away, and she was so sad, and I was so sad. Yeah.
Well, we had such a happy note until that.
I was really sad leaving her yesterday.
sorry.
I'm going to go watch the first 2 hours. Yeah, you got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh, nice work. Go take a swim in the lake, Bill, to calm down, she says.
It's e-learning time, Hope. It's e-learning time.
Good luck with that. Thank you, guys. We'll do it again tomorrow. I don't know if we'll yell as much or have as much fun, but we'll try.
We got to start with that question. Or not start, but we need to take note of that question at the end.
Well, also, we'll have plenty of Marcus Satterfield comments to overanalyze as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
6:05 tomorrow.
And NFL starts. And NFL starts, and we have to react to U.S. soccer.
No, we do not have to react to that. Patrick will try to sell it. We will ignore him. See you guys tomorrow.